held tight around me, heart within. Doors might open any moment now, gotta be prepared somehow. I'm ready and waiting, fire burning bright. I'm ready and waiting through longest night. Won't let it die out, won't fade away. Ready and waiting for that day. Burning, burning, never gonna stop. Burning, burning, till the moment comes.
Evening, everybody. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Tonight's going to be exciting because it is on thermodynamics and gas pressure. Well, I'm glad you guys could all make it. Please do make sure to hit the likes and share the show. It really does help the show to grow. Just going to say a big shout out to PJ Cruikshank. It is his birthday today, so happy 49th birthday, bro. Hope you had an awesome, blessed birthday and many more blessings to come. And then also another shout out to what the hell? Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I have actually forgotten. It's just so much on my mind right now because tomorrow is my daughter's birthday, so it's like getting things ready for that and stuff. So yeah, my youngest daughter's turning 4 tomorrow, and PJ turned 49 today. Really cool. And then huge shout out also to Justin Credible for sending super chats today in my premiere. Thank you, Justin. You are a big blessing, man. Really appreciate all the support you've done, brother. And you are a big blessing to this channel. So thank you very, very much. The link for you guys is in the chat if you guys want to come and have a discussion. Tonight we will be going through some thermodynamics and why gas pressure requires containment. The reason for this is because globies don't seem to understand that a physical container is needed for gas pressure to exist. Hey, Luca, how's it going, man?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's exciting. So have you gone to look up on the second law of thermodynamics yet?
Yeah. Well, and also gas pressure as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's also one that I looked up at.
So do you disagree? Well, what did you vote for in the votes? Gas pressure requires containment. 59% say yes, no 41%, and not sure 0%. Hey, Sov in the house. What's up, man?
What's happening, fellas?
Good. Waiting for some people to tell us how gas pressure doesn't require containment while showing us gas pressure requires containment.
Gravity.
Actually, I was thinking, yeah.
Well, gravity some kind of container.
How can gravity be a kind of a container?
Well, it keeps things in the atmosphere.
Keeps
What?
things in the atmosphere.
So it's like a container because they're forced to escape. And it can require the force, right?
You're breaking up a lot, man.
Am I?
Yeah. You might need to drop out and come back in.
Oh dear. Any? All right. I'll leave.
Yeah, just maybe just drop in and come back in again. Sometimes it does help.
It's very simple. If somebody wants to, you can actually test this. So if we had a vacuum chamber, and of course we know we can't produce an absolute vacuum, that's impossible. Well, we have this vacuum chamber, and let's suppose we got a little box that seals up, and we can open and close it with a little remote control. So we've got the vacuum chamber, myself, the box, and the air around me. Everything is being held to the earth by gravity, supposedly, right? So I seal up that box, and I've got the same air pressure in it, approximately 14.7 psi, inside the box as I do outside the box. Everything being held to the earth by gravity. So I put that little box inside of a vacuum chamber, and I reduce the pressure down as low as I possibly can go. Then I hit the button on my remote control. Will gravity hold the air that I trapped in that box in the box? And if not, why? It was holding it before. Why isn't it holding it now?
Mm-hmm. I'm busy trying to look for Blue Marble Science. You know, when he was trying to show gas pressure without containment, and then showed us 3 containers.
Yeah,
I can't seem to find that video on his channel anymore, guys.
that's the one that gets
I
me. They
can't
say,
even.
well, here's hexafluoride, sodium hexafluoride. And I'm like, yeah.
He takes the
Well,
pipe with butane. Remember that?
and I'm like, wait a second. What's that glass box around
Yeah,
it?
I found it.
A fish tank. That's a container, dumbass. What now you want to impress me? Put a gob of the sodium hydroxide or whatever the fuck it is. Just
Sulfur
put that on
hexafluoride.
the table. Just set it on the table without the fish tank. Just put it on the table there. Make a pile of it. Shape it into whatever shape you'd like to, too. You know, just mold it. Make a little giraffe out of it if you want to, right? Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because you
sulfur
think gas can
hexafluoride.
have a shape.
But that's the thing. If gravity was really a thing, why aren't we all dead right now? Because that would mean there would be such CO2 pooling at the bottom, because the denser gas would be pooling right at the bottom,
Hmm?
and there'll be no mixture of gases. It will just
No.
literally just be the densest gas on the bottom. We'll be dead.
Well, I think they think when it's we have a pressure gradient that it's like a layer cake or
It's quite
something.
crazy.
Here's some yellow cake, and then here's a little thing of frosting, and then here's another chunk of light. It's not like that. It's a feathering. If you ever see your color palette, like on paint, on the Windows program or whatever, you'll see it's a gradual feathering off into the colors. It's not a definitive line where they stop. They just meld as they go into the others. That's it.
Uh-huh. But do you remember this one from Blue Marble Science? We've got your gas pressure without container.
Uh,
This is an oldie, but a goodie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. We've got your gas pressure without a container. It's right down there. See? There it is.
Wait, I just want to ask you something. Is this a container, Soph?
looks like one. Unless that fluid in that tube is just the tube itself. The fluid is the tube. No, it's not. It's inside of a tube.
It's literally contained.
Pressure without a container. It's right down there. See? There it is.
Quite crazy.
You know, we keep hearing this over and over and over again. You can't have gas pressure without a container. At least according to Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser, Anthony Riley, and I guess pretty much every other flat earther out there. But you know what? They're wrong.
Really?
So Gladys, like this. Okay, so what's
Let's see.
gravity? No,
See what he gets
video.
to show us. Let's see what he gets to show us. He's gas pressure without containment, guys.
Gas pressure without a sealed container. This is the little arrangement that we see the.
Well, I'll ask you something, just out of curiosity. Is that a container?
It certainly is. I was just going to mention that.
Is that a container?
Why didn't he just use a handful of butane?
You can do a Sean Hawkins.
Yeah.
Buy a bucket full of butane, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there's the containers. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
He's still kind of choppy, though.
Okay. I guess I'll go to my computer. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
See you in a bit.
so anyway, what I'm able to do is count 1 container, 2 container, 3 container, 4. Weird. And this is all supposed to be without containers. And by the way, this is always what's presented to me still to this day by Globus, by the way,
Oh man.
as demonstration of gas pressure without containment.
Enough in the slides, piece of 1/2-inch pipe,
Oh,
which is
that's a
4 feet
container.
long,
Mm-hmm.
an incline manometer,
Container.
and this thing reads air pressure simply by this red fluid that's in the tube.
Simply by the fluid that's in the tube. Huh. A container.
Right now, I'm going to reset this a little bit to show 0 pressure. Right there. And as you can see, got a valve on the bottom.
I wonder
but we're
why
not
it's a
really gonna
valve.
use it.
That's also one thing. Why would you need a valve? Because you close the valve, it stops the gas from going out, correct? That's quite weird. Almost like the contained gas. So you're okay if the dome doesn't have a top on it. Who says a dome doesn't have the top on it? Don't worry, we're going to get to some MIT stuff soon as well. I just thought it's going to be fun showing some of this again. Because there's some new globies on the way that's never seen this rubbish before. And I have to apologize. Blue Marble Science isn't the most exciting guy. He's he reminds you of, Eeyore? I think it's Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, correct?
The donkey?
The donkey, yeah.
Yeah, it's Eeyore, yeah.
It's like, this is my butane. Let me put it in this container. That's not a container.
Stay away. I stay away.
Okay.
But again, we only had a 3-foot column or 38-inch column of gas to measure. So next, we're going to go outside and do some tests with some taller pipes.
Well, here's the thing I wonder too, is when he puts his gas into that tube, even and it has an open top, right? How long does the pressure stay consistent? How long does it stay? It doesn't. It starts dropping slowly dropping. It's going to go out.
But that's another question, yeah. Because the thing is, it's dispersing. Now, denser gases just take longer to disperse. Why would, if gravity was pulling the denser gas always down, why would the butane disperse after a while? It shouldn't. It should stay there indefinitely.
Gravity should hold it in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's the same when
it's the same when they bring the sulfur hexafluoride in a fish tank. They have to put a covering over it because if they don't, it escapes. Did you read that comment?
Which one's that? I'm looking at some really dumb ones.
Blue Marble is a legend and an incredible woodworker. Soft could learn a lot from him. Tell us the next joke. Hey, Luca. How's it working now?
Hello. How are you?
That's better.
See, that's a dumbass question right there in the first place, Wesley. Why does your denser gases disperse in your RDD? You're talking the RDD, it all has to do with the medium. The gases are the medium, stupid. Talk about can't see the forest for the trees. You're in it. You're in it. You're in it.
It's like you're a goldfish in a fish tank.
There you go.
You're already in the contained system. It's not hard to understand. Well, Luca, what's on screen right now? Would you agree there are a few containers?
Well, what are we looking at?
Blue Marble Science trying to demonstrate gas pressure without containment.
Okay, predicted 0. We got test 1, 0, test 2, 0, test 3, 0. Height, 0. Which is what is predicted. Okay, so that means, according to this, that the prediction came true, right?
I'm asking you, he's saying he's claiming to do this without containment. Look on the
Okay.
left, the diagram. How many containers do you count?
Well, we've got the tube. We've got the wire connecting it to the manometer. We've got the manometer itself. We've got the little thing inside the manometer, and that little circle, which is right below the little line, which is inside the manometer.
So you would agree that's 5 containers, correct?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And can you quickly read what this says here on top here?
Gas pressure without a container. Though the container is open.
Yes, that's why it's not suitable for gas. And if the nanometer is continuously hooked up to it once it's full of your butane or whatever the other gas is that you put into it, that pressure is going to go down. And it's going to continue to go down until it's equal with everything outside.
If you add gas, then the pressure will increase.
Well, don't add anything. Get it to a certain pressure with your open pipe and leave it there. Have it stay at that pressure without adding any more, without doing anything at all. Will it remain the same pressure? Of course not.
I'm guessing eventually the pressure will go down because
Why? Why doesn't gravity just hold the gas in the tube?
if it's closed.
No, if it's open. Why doesn't it hold?
If it's
Your
open,
claim
then
is that gravity is the container. Okay, so
well,
why wouldn't the pressure you put it in there, boom, it should remain the same. Unless you heat it or cool it. It should nothing happen to it whatsoever.
well, eventually
Well,
the gas will dissipate or whatever that word
what
is.
happened? Did gravity get tired?
No, it'll
Well, then what?
it'll
Then
just
what happened? Why eventually?
well, gas. What's that word? Dis
Disbursement?
dissipate, whatever. No,
Disperse? Okay.
not disperse.
Have you ever wondered why, if you had to take a container which is closed with gas in it, okay, and stick it in another container which is a vacuum chamber, and once the vacuum chamber has evacuated gas and you open that container which has the gas inside it, no matter how dense that gas is, it will always disperse instantaneously into that vacuum chamber. Do you know why?
Because of the sudden pressure change.
Because of entropy. The point is, gravity doesn't do anything. Gravity is a joke. It's a religious belief.
Wesley said because of air currents. So there's air currents going up and down then in a vertical pipe. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're trying to get at? Air current?
I'm gonna do it this way.
How about if we do it? How about if we were in a completely still room? There again with the vacuum chamber example. Okay, there's no wind currents in that.
Let's say this is a vacuum chamber, guys. And I'm gonna put another container. This container in here is filled with gas. Correct? Now there's no gas here. What happens in reality if we have to open here?
The gas will immediately wash out, right?
Yeah. Now where's gravity?
Because of the pressure difference.
Yeah. Now where's
It
gravity?
has nothing to do with gravity.
There you go. Absolutely. Thank you. It has absolutely nothing to do with gravity.
And I
Yeah.
want to quickly tell you something, Luca. This would be Earth, and this would be space.
But that wasn't like a sudden change in pressure. So the gas wouldn't be washing out.
So do you think that in the
The only
experiment by
reason
Blue
that the
Marble,
gas
hold on.
washed out in that box was because you removed the lid.
Well, then why didn't it say we
There's
started
no
out
lid
with no? Hold on, we
separating
started
dirt
out
and
with no
smooth.
lid, Luca. We started out with no lid with Blue Marble Science's experiment. It was a tube. The tube did not have a lid. Why didn't the pressures remain consistent in there until I guess the gas was dumped out onto the floor? I
Well,
guess
it
is how you
depends
would have
on
to remove
what
it.
kinds of gases he used.
He used
What
butane.
gases were in there?
He
Do you
used
know?
butane. He used butane.
And is that the only one?
Is what?
Yeah, he used butane.
Is that the only kind of gas he used?
It appears so.
Okay, so if
Why
we
would
only
that
use
matter?
butane,
Why would that matter?
well, some gases are heavier than others.
Some gases are denser than others. Yes, you're
Yeah,
correct.
denser.
Why
It
would
doesn't
that
matter
matter?
it doesn't matter what density.
They're all going to escape. I don't care what you put in there. They're all
Well,
going to escape.
yeah, it might take longer, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Whoa.
Yeah,
In a
eventually they'll
vacuum,
escape
in
in
a
an
vacuum,
open
it doesn't matter
container.
what density of gas you are, it's instantaneously
Yeah.
going to disperse.
If there's a pressure difference,
well, do we have pressure differences?
not
What
if
is
the
space?
container's
What is
already
space?
open. If the container's already open, then there wouldn't be any pressure change.
Well, how could there be any pressure? That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point, Luca. If it were open, there would be no pressure.
No change
Okay.
in
Well, the
pressure.
same thing occurs with
Well,
Earth. All
there
right.
would
The same
be
thing.
a change in pressure because, as you know, the lower you get down, then
Uh-huh.
the greater the pressure would be.
Uh-huh. And why?
Well, it's more compact the lower
Why?
down you go.
Why? What compact? It's compressed?
Well, compressed, yeah, I suppose
Okay.
you could say that, yeah.
Why? Why is it?
Well, because of,
How
well,
can you compress a gas? How can you compress a gas without having something to compress it?
I just said like tightly together, There's
Yeah.
way
But
more
how do you
molecules
get a
down
gas?
below.
How do you get a gas under pressure without a physical container?
Well, you do have some kind of container, but
What kind of container?
well, gravity, no?
Gravity is not a container. We've already
Yeah,
illustrated that gravity can't contain a gas, that the pressure differential is much stronger than your supposed gravity.
yeah,
Okay,
but
so
yes, but
gravity
there's no
is
pressure
how
change.
can gravity be a suitable container for gas?
There's a gradual pressure change. The pressure doesn't immediately go from like 14 to like 7. It
No, I know
changes
that.
of
Right.
the higher lower you go gradually.
Right. Yeah, we know that. What is
So
that? What does the fuck does that have to do with gravity? We've already demonstrated that gravity has no effect on gas behavior. So how is a
when
gradient?
sudden pressure change is involved, gravity doesn't affect that because
Yeah.
the gas washes out to
Yeah,
even
listen.
out the pressure
Yeah,
There you
listen to
go.
this quickly again,
to
Luca.
equalize.
Let's just take
Again,
a gas
MIT.
in some volume, V,
Mm-hmm.
and over here is going to be vacuum of equal volume, and we're going to remove the barrier. You know what's going to happen spontaneously, right? The gas is going to fill the available volume once it becomes available.
Mm-hmm.
Spontaneously. I've actually got another one for you.
Wesley.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah?
you mean comments.
Flow
Hi,
is not
Wesley.
directly affected by gravity. Is not directly affected by gravity.
One of these bulbs, some bromine, and in the other, I have a
Well,
vacuum.
I've already.
And if I open the tap
that what
between
she
these
said
two,
is wrong.
you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy. In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change, there's no temperature change, there's no change except entropy.
It is. So Wesley, that's a nice story, real cool story. Gravity does affect it, but the difference is so small in a small box. Yeah, sure. There again, because gas is at a contiguous mass. Is gas a contiguous mass? Of course not.
I still want to see someone
Thinking
showing that.
sand is not a contiguous mass either, unless it's gathered together in a volume.
I would love for them to show us gas stopping movement. If anybody can show us a gas stopping to move, that'll be great.
So you
'Cause
gotta
that's
go to
exactly what they
Narnia.
claim. Think about it. That's exactly what they claim with gravity. You guys claim gravity stops the gas from escaping because it slows it down so much that it has to literally stop and fall back down to Earth. That literally means you are defying gas law.
Yeah.
Look, the pressure difference creates a force, right? When you open that box, it creates a pressure difference, which then creates a force that accelerates the gas, right? Across the opening until the pressure equalizes, right? Would you agree?
The thing is, a gas never stops moving. It can only change direction with a collision. Okay? Your claim for gravity is you're saying that gas that's going up is falling back down because it goes up, stops because of gravity, and decides to fall back down to Earth.
I'm going to explain so that we've got some real slow people. Wesley's one of them right here, and I'm going to explain what I mean by a contiguous mass. Okay? I'm going to take a 5-kilogram chunk of steel. Okay? And I'm also going to have 5 kilograms of sand in a bowl. I'm going to stick an eye hook into the steel, and then I'm going to drill an eye hook down into the sand. Okay? If I pull up on the eye hook in the steel, that entire contiguous mass of steel will lift. If I pick up the eye hook that's sticking in the sand, it's not going to lift the 5 kilograms of sand out of the bowl at all.
Hi guys.
If we're lucky, we might get a couple of grains that stick to the threads. That's the point. It has to be collected together in order to be a mass, and the only way to collect a gas together is with a physical containment. There is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. This is axiomatic.
But what about when the gas is
Hey, Enrich,
already
what's up, man?
equalized?
Hey, there is no but. What he said is truth. Accept it.
When
There
the
is
gas is
no question
already
about it.
equalized, then
When is it equalized?
with ambient air, right? When
No.
the gas is
Is there
already
still pressure? Is there
equal-
still pressure there? Is there still pressure there?
Yeah, but you wouldn't need a container at that
Yes, you
point
do.
because it's already
Yes, you do.
equalized.
Yes, you do. Equalization means that it's dispersed to its farthest reaches. And in your idea of space, those farthest reaches are infinite, and we would not have air. Compare the volume of air. Compare the volume of Earth's air compared to the, I guess, containment of outer space.
But what about when you blow out a candle? You know, when you blow out a candle, the puff of whatever, the warm puff, expands for a few milliseconds, right? Reaches the whatever it is.
Look, why are you jumping always all around? You can't finish one subject, you know, and you're jumping to another one, from one to another. You won't finish one. You won't accept to have the fact that to have pressurized air, you have to have container. There is no question about it.
And
Can
yes,
you quickly read on there what's on the what he wrote on his board? The guy's busy teaching chemistry. Okay.
Gas particles, collision, random motion, collisions of the walls of the container create force on the walls, pressure. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. So can you have pressure without the walls of the container?
Well, no.
Here you go.
It's really simple. And yes, there are axioms in science. I'm sorry, Wesley, there are. Oh, atmospheric pressure and gas pressure. Learn the difference, folks. Okay.
Axioms in science and the scientific method. Axioms are aspects of formal systems. They define fundamental or prior rules by which the system operates in effect, as they are the same.
There you go. Ooh, Wesley, you're batting like all donuts today, man. Big goose eggs.
Gas, you have lots of particles moving randomly. I say particles because they might be atoms in a gas like neon, or they might be molecules in a gas like oxygen, but they're particles, and they move in random directions, random motion, and they bump into each other every now and then. That's called a collision.
I love it.
Wait a minute.
It's called a collision.
Oh.
Yes.
Wait a minute. That's not. Hold on. If you just hold like a little wad or something, like a probe or a pitot tube or something into like air, right? But then you then you know molecules would still bang on the surface, right?
I want to address something.
Gas molecules would still create a force on the tube that you're sticking out into the air, because they'd bang into it every so often.
Well,
right?
Luca, what happens if you climb in a swimming pool and you take a cup with you and you scoop the water out in the swimming pool? Is the water still in the swimming pool?
Yeah, and it's also in the cup.
Exactly. You're in the already contained system, Luca. Sorry,
and this
go ahead,
thing about, you don't know the difference between atmospheric pressure and gas pressure. Hey, dumbass, what is the atmosphere comprised of? What makes it up? Gases. Oh my God, how about that? So the atmospheric pressure is due to the combination of pressures adding up to the sum pressure of each one of the elements.
Dalton's law. It's literally atmospheric pressure is just based on the principle of Dalton's law, the conglomerate of all the gases. That's it.
Yeah.
What's up, PJ? Happy birthday to you.
PJ's birthday. All right.
Thank you guys. Yeah, and one more year closer to 50. So
27. 94.
Half is it. I'm 49. I'm 50 next year. So I was just thinking earlier that I'm 49. I'm nearly 50. So that's half a century. I remember when I was 25 turned 25 going, oh no, I'm quarter a century. But then I thought, I'm not 50 yet, but I've lived in 7 decades and I've lived in 2 centuries. I've gone through 7 decades,
Well,
2 centuries.
How you got 90-degree angles on a ball, Wesley? You can't.
well, what if you go underneath the water? There's no walls like
Yeah, there is.
at the bottom of the ocean. There's
How
no
did the
wall.
water become a volume? Was it in a basin? Did you have to create a concrete structure called a pool, or is a lake in the
Like at
low
the
lying
bottom of the
area
ocean.
draining? What do you think that is? Is a bowl a container?
Like at the bottom of the ocean, there's no walls, right?
Is the ocean contained by its shores? Does it get shallow as you get toward land and then eventually become land?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like a
container.
big bowl. It's like a big bowl, right? Okay, you have to have a bowl to eat your soup, right? Because you can't carry the soup and you can't take a handful of soup into the front room and watch your
But
favorite TV show and eat it, right?
But water like is everywhere. The ocean is everywhere without a container. It's just
There's
there's
no
no
ocean
there at
here.
one
Wait
point
a second.
where
How come the
all of
ocean?
the oceans connect
Why is
to
the
each
ocean not where I'm at, Luca? I'm sitting right here and there's no ocean.
Yeah.
I see absolutely no ocean. Could it be perhaps that because the water is at a lower elevation contained within a basin? Yes,
But
that's
the
exactly
oceans
why.
all connect to each other.
So,
Yes.
Think of it like a big
So at
pond.
the point of connection, there's no
Luca,
like container.
yes,
think of it as like a big pond or a big swimming pool. There has to be an edge somewhere that holds everything in.
mhm.
And
I can
you
take
say, then what's that edge?
what if I took
Would
a
that
lake?
be would that
What
be
if
the dome?
Luca,
The
Luca,
dome
what if I have a lake and
or
there's a bunch of
the ice
islands
wall?
and there's a bunch of islands in that lake? All that water is
Mhm.
still connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it in a volume?
There's a lot of water.
Yeah, but I mean, you can take a lot of water and what does it do? It goes to the lowest point and seeks level.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to have a specific volume of water, how would you get a specific volume of water, whether it be a pond, whether it be a swimming pool, whether it be a lake, whether it be an ocean? What is the only way to obtain a volume of water in one location?
I guess the only reliable way would be to contain it.
There you go. This is exactly why you don't have water sloshing around everything, because the water is contained within the basin of the lake, the pool, the pond, or the ocean.
Nah.
Well, the thing is, you
Nah.
agreed with that. You agreed with everything written on this guy's whiteboard, correct?
Yeah.
So how do you take this, what you agree with, and just say, nah, let's just say there is no container?
Well, there's sometimes, like for example, when you blow out a candle, right? Yeah, that smoke, whatever it is, and as it gets, and then over a few like milliseconds, it like expands, and then eventually it would equalize it will just expand and equalize.
Dissipates into the surrounding area.
Yeah, it mixes with the room air.
Yeah, but what has that got to do with what we just said now?
But there's no vessel needed, right? There's no
Again, Luca, when you have your candle, you're already in that container.
Yes, and you are mixing the scales. You're thinking that you can reflect one another, like a small container and a big container, and you don't see the big container. of the Earth. So again, to have for you possibility to breathe, we have to have air. To have air, we have to have gas, pressured gas, because you can breathe. Atmosphere. To have atmosphere, it has to be contained, because according to NASA and all the globers, all this air would be sucked out to the vacuum. We wouldn't be able to live here. If that's the truth, there is a vacuum outside. That's why there has to be container. As simple as that. Nothing more than that. It's very simple. It's basic thing.
Yep.
Well, if you're already in a container, like the house or the earth, well, you're using it.
Oh no!
Like as a broad way, right?
Oh, someone's using a vacuum cleaner.
What is that?
Is that vacuum cleaner a container?
It's like a physics. It's a broad physics.
Well, let's face it this way. Do you know how vacuum cleaners work, Luca?
They create a force and suck in the dust.
Doesn't suck. No, it creates a low pressure system inside the vacuum cleaner, and the high pressure around it on the outside forces its way into the system.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm happy you did that because it shows our point that even your vacuum cleaner needs containment.
No, I meant the noise.
That was the point.
No, there was a guy outside my window doing
leaf blower.
Landscape.
Leaf blower. Even a leaf blower requires containment.
Another container. Another container.
It wasn't a leaf blower. It was a weed cutter.
Ah.
And you're completely wrong. But I would let Luca go ahead. He's in the middle of talking to you guys.
Yeah. So like, you're using the word in like a broad physics-centric sense. Like the word, when you say you're already in a container, like you're using the word container very broadly.
No, we're not. Just like if you're a fish in a pond.
Like in a
you're already in the pond,
sense,
Luca.
Right?
Let's say you're a fish in a pond, Luca, and you get caught in a net. Are you not in the pond anymore?
You're not in the pond. Uh-huh.
No, you're a fish in the pond, and they throw a net, and now you're caught in the net.
Yeah.
Are you still in the pond?
Yeah.
A container's a container. What do you mean? Are you using the
what's keeping the fish
broadly? Do you mean by using the word broadly? Container.
What's keeping the fish? Hold on a second. What's keeping the fish from being able to escape? Why is it caught in the net?
Right.
It's got holes in it and stuff, right? Oh, that's because the net is a container as well. It's not a suitable container for gas or fluids, but it is a suitable container for objects as long as they're big enough to not go through the holes in it.
That's right.
So we have somebody threw a container into another container and then grabbed a fish doing that. You see?
So
your body, you're a container full of little containers.
I agree.
So you presuppose that there's another container.
What other container? What are you talking about? Presuppose.
The firmament. The firmament. You presuppose the firmament.
Well, wait a second. I presuppose. How else are you going to have gas pressure without something containing the gas?
No, that wasn't.
We've already shown that gravity is not suitable.
A simple question, Brenda.
I said that you are presupposing the existence of the firmament without.
Oh, I've seen
knowing
it. I've seen the firmament.
No,
You've seen it too. Everyone here has seen it. Everyone.
Prove it. Prove it.
Go outside and look up. What do you think you're seeing when you look up? What do you think? You're looking off into infinity or something? You're looking at the ceiling, fool. That's why all the stars are always in focus. They're the same distance away. There's an optical illusion because they're different sizes and brightness that gives you the illusion of depth.
You think
It's,
that there's a
you just
surface
seen it
above
every
you
night.
that's? You think there's a surface above you that's colored blue?
No.
It's
I
really
think
about blue.
that the gases in our system radiate a blue glow when exposed to positive electromagnetic
Yeah,
waves.
radiation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean,
not
we've
what.
seen
That's not what.
when
That's not
we've
why
seen
the
when the
sky is
gases
blue.
get excited,
Yeah,
the different gases give different colors.
Yeah, that's wrong.
How do you know it's wrong?
Right. The sky is blue.
I can show you exposing noble
No,
gases to
the sky
electromagnetic
is blue.
fields.
Roses are red.
No, the
You
sky
do
is.
know,
Nitrogen will
Brenda,
fluoresce blue.
Brenda, even on your globe belief model, the reason the sky is blue is because of excitation of gases.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
Wrong.
it is.
The reason the sky is
We
blue.
see the sky
Brenda believes in
blue
different globe.
Can you? No, I
because
believe
of
in
the
the
light
same globe.
travels.
Go ahead, Luca. You know the answer.
Yeah, the light travels through the atmosphere and scatters the wavelength of light, and that's why we see the sky.
Yeah, it's
blue.
Rayleigh scattering.
Yeah.
Excitation of gases.
No, that's not it. That's not. That's
The
not
Rayleigh
right.
scattering. Oh man, wow.
Rayleigh scattering
Guys,
is
this is the idiocy we have to deal with constantly.
In reality, the sun is actually white. So
That's true. The sun is white.
Sure it
The
is.
sky is blue to scattering, not to the radiation from noble gases.
I didn't say it was from radiation.
Yes,
I said
you
it was
did.
from the. No, I didn't.
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
Listen, you have a mouth where your ears are. Okay, so you need to shut your mouth and listen.
You have a cunt where your mouth is.
I said.
Okay, Brenda, this is not a way to
Brenda,
start.
don't turn into a twisted little
I'm not starting it.
You're twisted.
just
You're
said.
twisted. You're twisted,
Okay.
sister.
Listen,
Right.
I said they fluoresce when exposed to electromagnetic radiation.
What is
Okay?
fluorescence?
This. I can take one of these curly
Fluorescence
bulbs.
is radiation.
Just a second. I can take a curly bulb, and all I have to do is move it within proximity of a plasma ball, basically a little Tesla coil, and it starts glowing. No
Why does it
electricity
glow?
needed.
That's
Because
radiation.
the gases inside. Because the gases inside are excited by the electromagnetic field. That is
And-
why.
And
Everyone
they
knows
radiate.
that. That's how a fucking neon
Yes,
light works.
and they radiate. They get excited and then they lose their energy and radiate. That's not why the sky is blue.
It's
The sky
not.
is blue because the sky preferentially absorbs all the other colors except for blue.
And that doesn't allow you to see the stars, right? You're not allowed to see. You can't see the stars because of that too, right? The stars that are in the firmament. So our view of the ceiling seems to be obscured during the daytime for the most part, but at nighttime we can see it clearly.
You can't see the
can't see a
stars.
firefly really well during the day.
You can see the stars during the day if you get above
Yes,
the
yes, but you
atmosphere.
can't see all of them. You can only see a few of them. So as I said, because of this effect, our view of the ceiling is obscured somewhat. This is why we see this blue glow haze from high altitude photographs. It looks like it's like a blue glow coming from it. And it's interesting because nitrogen, when you expose it to an electromagnetic field, it fluoresces that exact same color of blue.
That isn't why the sky is blue when you're on the ground.
Well, that's what you think, Brenda. So, but nobody cares.
It's
You
like
think you're a
third grade
woman, too.
science.
So there's that.
Yes. I know when I won when you start going.
You haven't won anything, Brenda.
Personal attacks.
No, you're the one that started freaking out first, man.
Okay,
You
so
started
the point.
It's a
No,
competition.
actually, you did.
So it's a competition. I won.
No, it's
a
not.
competition. Well,
So-
why did you say you won?
Listen, every one of these Globers, I swear to God, they have no more mental maturity than a 13-year-old. That's about where they're at. Every single one of them.
I've
think
seen
I'm
more than
extraordinarily. I'm
I've seen
extraordinarily
13-year-olds
mature.
that are more mature than them.
I cope with your personal attacks far better than you cope with the slightest
Really?
insult to you.
Really?
What about
Really?
when?
Yes.
What about when you debated flats and lost your mind?
Yes, I lost my temper.
Yeah.
So you did better, yes.
Because flats was telling the truth. Wow.
No, he wasn't. He was lying. So let's
No, he
get off
wasn't.
of personal
wasn't.
attacks.
No, he wasn't.
Let's
No, he
get
wasn't.
off of personal attacks.
You
and
started
tell me-
it. You said
No, I
it.
didn't.
Yes,
No,
you
I
did.
didn't.
Yes, you did.
No,
I won.
no.
I won.
What is
I won.
your
I
argument
won.
that gas pressure requires a container?
All gas laws. Can you show us once where there is no containment needed for gas pressure?
It's your claim. You need to
No,
provide.
there you
No,
go with
no.
you got to prove a negative. You got to prove a negative. This is where you guys also go. Another
But then don't
13-year-old
assert it.
mentality.
It's not a 13-year-old mentality.
Yes, it is.
There
Brenda.
is no
You're-
law.
You're intellectually dishonest as all hell.
There
You
is
really
no
are.
law. There is no law in physics that says in order to have pressure, you have to have a
Because it's
container.
axiomatic, Brenda. It's
There's no-
axiomatic. It goes without saying.
There are no axioms in physics.
Yes, there are. We just
No,
read
they're
that there
not.
are. Yes, there are.
You're wrong.
Axioms in science, Brenda.
Name one.
There are
Name
axioms
one.
in science.
Name one.
Well, there's one right there. Gas
What?
pressure requires containment.
Where? Where?
Anywhere.
Prove it.
We already have.
No, you haven't.
Yes.
Brenda,
There are no
Brenda,
axioms.
do you have
You
none?
cannot go
Brenda.
against that axiom. The
So-
fact that you cannot go against that axiom and
I
give
can.
a demonstration using the scientific method of a gas pressure without physical containment displays the axiom
Demonstrations-
right there. It
demonstrations-
displays
Brenda,
the axiom.
please go to the Tesco.
Demonstrations.
Brenda,
Dude, listen.
please-
no,
please
I'm
get-
responding to Sav.
Right, go
Demonstrations are not how you prove things in physics.
It's
Yes,
not.
it is.
What do you
No,
just
you
pull
do
shit
Because you
out
wouldn't
of
be
your
able to
ass?
demonstrate it if
That's
it wasn't true.
Experiments.
You wouldn't be able to, if
okay,
something
then
wasn't
show me
true.
the experiment that verifies that gravity can contain gas.
Gas has weight.
That's not an experiment. That's you postulizing. Cite
you
the
can-
experiment that
You can literally
verifies your
weigh
claim.
gas. You can literally
Cite
weigh
the
gas.
experiment that verifies your claim that gas can be contained by gravity.
Yeah, it has weight.
I don't
Right.
care what you think it has. It can only have weight if it's in a contained volume. And the interesting thing is, it'll only register weight if the pressure inside of the containment that you need to weigh the gas is higher than the pressure outside.
So
That's
you
the only
simply-
way it's ever going to register weight, because as soon as
I
you
can
think
weigh-
it's empty, it's not empty. It's just at the same pressure
I
as
can
everything
weigh-
outside.
I'm not talking about that. I can weigh a liquid like water by
Yeah.
putting it on a scale
Yes.
in a cup, and I
Okay. We're not
subtract
talking
the
about
weight.
water. We're
and-
talking about gas.
This is-
Water and
this
gas
is
are two different things.
multi-step. So again, let me finish. I can weigh water by putting it in a cup, a container, and weighing it on a scale.
Container.
And I can put air in a container and weigh it
Why
on
do
a
you need-
scale. I subtract the weight of the container, and I get the weight
container?
of the air.
So you
Right.
required a container for that, Brenda. Why didn't you do the other container?
Because in our local environment, I would not be able to weigh it.
Yes.
I can weigh gas. I can weigh it using a barometer. Right?
Which is a
Using
container,
col-
correct?
No,
that's
a
not
barometer is
really
not a
weight.
container.
Yes, a
That's not
barometer is a
weight.
container.
No, it's not. It's
How does a
simply
barometer work, Brenda?
You have a pan of mercury and a tube.
Container. Ah,
That's for the mercury,
done.
not,
Well
not
done.
for the mercury.
And a
Okay,
tube.
Brenda,
Container.
if you want
Remember,
to
the
provide for us evidence that we
The
are wrong,
pan weighs
literally
the
a
pressure.
container.
Brenda,
Literally a container.
please go to the Tesco, get a bucket, and tell them to sell you 3 liters of oxygen, and get the
Yeah.
bucket without the lid.
The fact
Right?
that it's not
And bring it to us.
practical to do doesn't mean that gas doesn't have weight. And since it has
Well, it
weight,
doesn't matter if it has weight. Can
Yes, it
you
does.
prove or cite the experiment that verifies your claim that gravity is a suitable container for gases?
because gravity
I
requires.
don't want to hear a
it-
postulation.
I'm going to
Cite
tell
the
you.
experiment. Certainly, there has to be an
You do
experiment
have
to
to, when you
verify
ask me
that.
questions, you have to allow me to answer before you freak out.
I asked you to cite the experiment, and surely there must be an experiment to verify this ridiculous claim that gravity is a suitable container for a gas.
Yes, in the presence of a gravitational field, all things with mass have weight.
That's
Gas
your
has
postulation. Cite the experiment that verifies your claim.
right. So when we use a
Don't speak about it. Don't claim
Demonstrate
anything.
it.
Provide the experiment. That's
I already
very
know what
simple.
I already know what the numbskull fucking
I'm
excuse
explaining
you're
it
gonna
to
say.
you.
Mass attracting mass and all this other
The
nonsense.
mercury,
Okay.
the mercury barometer measures the weight of the air above it.
No.
No, not
Measures
the weight of the air.
displacement.
Yes, it is.
Do you think the mercury barometer will work if there was no vacuum there?
No,
Why not?
right? Because it would be pressing against the air that's inside of the
Because
tube.
gas pressure is the gas forced or exerted on the container wall.
No, on the inside,
Yes.
that tube. That's why it wouldn't work. But when it's a vacuum, it does work, and it will measure the pressure of the air
Like I said,
outside
if
of the
you didn't
tube.
have a vacuum, would it work?
No, that doesn't prove your point, Keith.
It makes my point perfectly.
Why?
Because
How so?
there is no weight of the air. It is the gas pushing.
Yeah.
Because it moves in all directions.
It measures the weight of the air outside of
It's
the
not
tube.
a scale, Brenda. It's not a
It literally
scale.
is.
It's
it
not
literally
a weight
does.
scale. It's not a weight
Smug.
scale.
How the air presses the
Hold on,
air.
let me ask you something,
Brenda,
Listen.
this mug, Brenda, does it have the same gas pressure pointing here than it is here, in here, and on the bottom?
No.
Yes.
No.
It's literally measured
No.
14.7 psi
You
right
think
around the
14.7? You think
pressure
you're
on-
holding up 14.7 pounds? You're holding.
Yes.
It's not pressing in on you from the sides or
It's
from
totally
the front.
the pressure on the top of your head is less than the pressure at your feet. You can measure it with your cell phone.
With your cell phone. Oh, is your cell phone a barometer?
It has an instrument in there capable of measuring such
A contained
small
instrument.
And how does it do that?
I don't know the electronics. I don't know electronics. It's not matter. So the point is, the mercury barometer measures the weight of the column of air outside of the tube, Keith, not inside of the tube.
Okay, Brenda, if what you're saying is true, that would mean that these fighter pilots would not have to have a pressurized suit that squeezes in on their
Why
body at
wouldn't
all.
they?
All they would have to do is carry a 15-pound weight on their shoulders, right?
That would only work for where it contacts your shoulder.
Well, why? It's the weight, right? It's the weight pushing down. So if you've got the 15
It's all
pounds
around
pushing
you.
down on you, then
It's
you
all
should be
around
good
you.
to go, right?
It's all
You should
around
be
you.
good to go.
Now it's all
around
around us. Now it's all around us.
It's all around you. That's why they have
what
tubes.
It's
That's why they
displacement.
have
It's
tubes.
not weight. Brenda, it's not weight. It's displacement.
Displacement is not a thing that we're talking
Yes, it
about
is.
here.
What
That
is
we're
causing
I
the
know
air? Hold on. What is causing the
know that
air
objects
to
displace-
go to another place and not be where I am at? What's causing that?
Archimedes' principle isn't talking about a
Displacement.
force. It's not talking about a force.
Displacement. I have displaced the medium.
Archimedes' principle
because
doesn't
it
talk
was
about
not a force.
About the
here.
It's not a
displacement.
force.
Wait. Did she just, Brenda? Did you say Archimedes' principle doesn't talk about a force?
Right. It talks about displacement.
Displacement is a force.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Does something does something require a force to be moved from one place to another?
Sure.
Okay. So what is forcing the medium to not be where my body is?
the air pressure above it.
Well, wait a second. Isn't
I
it
go,
more that
when you
two
move,
objects, two physical objects cannot occupy the same place
Yeah,
at
that's
the
not a
same time?
force. That's not a
Okay.
force.
And wait
yeah,
a minute.
displacement's
What
not
is
a
a
force.
place? A place is an area, right? That's a place, right? We know what a place is. And to
But that's
move
not
something
no.
from one place to another is to displace it. For instance,
Yeah,
the
but that's not what
refugees in
Archimedes'
Gaza
principle
right now
is.
are being displaced from their home.
Yeah,
They're
but that's not what his principle is.
physically moving from one place
What
to
is his
another.
principle
Okay,
state?
okay,
What is his
Brenda.
principle
Let's say
state?
you have a ship. Let's say you have a ship on the ocean. Is the force of the water counteracting the force of the boat?
Yeah, the normal force of the
Right,
ocean.
Archimedes principle,
counteracting-
force. Thank you very much.
That's not Archimedes' principle. What is
That's
Archimedes'
literally
principle?
Archimedes principle. Archimedes principle is just talking about displacement around the surface area
No,
of the two
that's-
forces opposing
no-
each other.
Displacement
That's
is
literally Archimedes principle, Brenda.
displacement is just how far and in what direction something's position has changed.
Okay,
Would you
so
agree
in
with
what
that?
direction did all the gas around me go?
But
All
a force is
directions
what's
away from my
making
body.
something accelerate
All
or
directions
deform.
away from my
So-
body is which way it went.
Let's go back to your false claim that gas pressure requires a force, and your inability to
No, you
actually
said it
prove
requires
that.
containment. Containment.
Yeah.
You're the one that says that a force can do it.
Yes, that's correct. I misspoke. So you have no proof that gas pressure requires a container. There is no physical law anywhere in physics.
so,
You have no
in the other-
proof that I can't turn into a werewolf.
Yeah.
Okay, you have no proof that I can't flap
It
my
has nothing
arms
to
and
do
fly.
with what we're talking
Well,
about.
yes, it does, because you're wanting people to prove a negative, and worse of it is an axiomatic negative.
Yeah, there's again, axioms are in mathematics.
Yes, we
not
already
physics.
proved that they are, Brenda.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Yes, we did. It was
Brenda,
already
what's your proof?
cited.
Brenda,
It was
what's your
already
proof?
cited.
What's your
Brenda,
proof?
Brenda, on screen, okay? I'm putting out. You know what? This is this would be a tech. You know what a tech is?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a tech. This is one pointed down and this one upside down. This would just be a piece of wood or something. Which one would be easier to push into that piece of wood?
Obviously, the one on the left.
This one. On the right.
I said left. Do you
Okay,
know your
so
left
this one.
from your right?
It sounded like
Do
you
you
said
know your-
right. That's what I'm asking. It sounded like you
No,
said
I
right.
clearly said left. Do
Okay,
you know your
okay.
left from
Now-
your right?
Now, which one gives higher pressure due to its surface area?
Yeah, the reason you can push in the tack on the left is because the force will be concentrated at the tip of the pin.
Okay.
Yeah, what does
So
that have to do with containment of
I'm
of
trying to
air
teach
pressure?
you displacement here and force because you think displacement has got nothing to do with force.
What does this have to do with displacement?
You see this amount of force here is much.
That's about a force. I don't know. There's no.
You need much less force to get that in than this amount of force. Why? Because the force around this whole area is displaced more
The
than
force
that
is displaced.
area. Yes.
Is that right? The force is displaced.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's spread out evenly through the area.
You mean
The
that's
amount
not
of
what that's not what
force.
the word displacement means, Keith.
I'm
Do we
really
have to bring
making
up
it
the fucking definition?
as simple as I can for him.
Yeah,
or
but that's
whatever
not
this
what
is.
the word means, Keith. You're using the wrong word. The force is distributed over a smaller area on the left than on the right, and that's why you're able to push the.
Tell me I'm wrong and says the same thing as me. How's that, guys? Wow. Okay.
It says here,
Thank you, Brenda.
it says here that displace means to remove from the usual or proper place, especially to expel or force to flee.
It's a different sense of the word force.
Is it? So
Yeah,
then,
words-
so then you're admitting that something can move without a force being applied to it.
No, things can't.
Well, then
move
how did
without
the
force.
fucking air move? If I'm
Air-
in where the air was and the air had to move for me to be there, what caused it to move?
You did. You applied a
I
force.
did. That's right. I displaced it.
Right.
Yes.
That doesn't mean
Merely by volition of my existence. I
No.
create a force. Yes, because I am
No.
displacing. Yes, I am displacing the medium.
No, I thought you meant walking from one place to another. Simply by existing, you force. No, listen. Simply by existing, your body exerts a normal force against any air outside of your skin.
Right.
It exerts a
What is
normal
that
force.
What is that force?
It exactly counteracts.
What is that
the air
force,
pressure.
though? What is that force, though?
It's based in the.
I don't know. I don't care what it's based on. What
I'm
is
trying
that
to tell
force?
you. You interrupted me.
All you have to do. What is that
I was
force? Go
trying to
ahead.
tell
Say
you.
it.
You
You got to.
interrupted me.
You know you got to. It's
I'm
displacement.
trying to tell you. You keep interrupting me. So it's the intermolecular and intracellular bonds between your tissues and the material that makes up your body pushes an equal and opposite force against the air pressure outside of your skin.
So then displacement.
It doesn't.
Displacement.
It doesn't
is
push
what
anything
happened.
out of the way. It simply
It
exerts a
didn't.
normal
So
force.
the air, there's still the air that was sitting right here in this chair where I'm sitting at is still there. I'm mixed together with it or something.
Soft or flat?
When you move from one place to another, your legs exert energy and you push the air out of the way.
That's only my mobility, because even
Soft
if I
or
That's what
flat?
you're talking about. Is
Listen.
if I'm
Can you
standing
please
still,
read?
Brenda.
Could you please
standing
read
still-
message in a private chat for Brenda? I just copy
okay,
paste
Brenda.
that about the physics.
Even if I'm
Please read it for
standing
him.
still.
Brenda, look, what does that say? Displaced water, correct?
Okay.
So, did that water take up the same place as the boat, or was it moved
Yes.
away due to the force of the water pushing against the boat and the boat pushing against the water?
The water,
Force displaced.
when an object is floating, it's exerting a downward force on the water, which moves the water away from where it was, and
But
then
only
the water
down.
exerts
I agree.
the water exerts a counter force. Equal and
displacement
opposite.
force. Okay,
There's
cool.
no
Equal-
pressure against the sides of the
Let me
hull.
finish.
There's
Equal
no
and
where's
opposite
the pressure from the sides of the hull coming from?
from the water.
Yeah, but it's a downward force. How can it be pushing
No,
in sideways?
it's at all directions around,
Yes,
the
due
hull of the
to
boat.
displacement.
No, it's not
Yes.
due to displacement. Displacement simply
Come on,
describes that it's occupying the
No,
same place that the water
displacement is
used
an
to be.
action. Displacement is an action.
It's not a force.
It's an
Displacement
action.
is not
An
a force.
action. It's an
Not a
action.
force.
Displacement is not a force.
It's not. Then how
Displacement
does
is caused
then
by
how
the
does-
force, Brenda.
It
then how does it
requires a
move without a
force to
force?
move something, but it's not itself a force
How does it move then?
because the force
How
is
does the air
exerted on
move?
it.
How does the air move to not be where I'm at if it's not forced to move?
It moves because you exerted a force to it.
How did I exert that force?
When you
I'm standing
walk with your
still.
legs,
I'm sitting still right now, Brenda. I'm exerting no
Right.
force.
because
Okay, I'm not
you're
moving.
exerting a force against the molecules of air outside your skin.
Right. Which is called what?
It's a normal force.
What's it called though? What's
It's a
that
normal-
action called? What is it called? The fact that I'm in the place that the air was, and the air was forced to move from the place that I am to where it is now.
Because your body exerts an equal and opposite force to the air pressure around you.
It displaces
Because
the
of-
air. That's very
There's no
simple.
such thing as
Starts with a
no
D.
such thing as a displacement force.
It starts with a D.
No, that's not a force.
So I didn't displace the air?
Displacement
How did the
is
air
simple.
move then? How did the air move?
You exerted a force against it.
How am I? I'm not exerting any force. I'm
Yes,
just
you
sitting
are.
here.
Just
I
sitting
am.
there. You're just sitting there. Your body exerts an
Yeah.
equal and opposite force against
Right.
the air pressure.
So
Because
you are
of
forceful.
displacement.
What? What?
It's because of displacement.
No.
If my body was suddenly to disappear, what would happen to the hole in the air where I
The air
am
around
right
you
now.
would rush in, and there would be a loud
Yes.
thunderclap.
Instantaneously, there would just be
Well, it
gone.
would take a little
right?
bit of time, but yes.
Okay. No, it wouldn't take any time at all.
How does
Nothing
that?
you could ever measure.
That doesn't make displacement a force. Displacement is just a description.
Okay, then what forced the air to not be where I'm at?
You did.
And how did I do that?
When you got up on your feet and you moved from one place to
But
another.
I'm not moving. I'm sitting here and I'm still
Yes.
doing this force.
Your body exerts a normal force because your
Yes.
body is at the same pressure.
Right. Well, I understand that. So what happened to the air where it was once right here where I sit?
Right. When you sat down, you moved
Yeah.
the air that was there out of the way by exerting a force
Oh,
on
okay.
it.
Then there shouldn't be any pressure on me anymore then, right?
No, that's not true.
There
That
is.
doesn't
Wait a
follow.
second. There's still pressure on me? I
All
thought
the
I
time.
moved the air out of the way. Why would there be pressure on me? Is the air maybe trying to fill the void that I'm filling, and my body's not allowing it to fill the void that I'm filling?
Yeah, your body is exerting an equal and opposite force. To
Right.
the air
So it
pressure.
caused the air to do what? Did it cause the air to go from one place where it was to another?
When you moved,
Did,
right?
No,
you
yes or no
caused-
question,
Answer the
Brenda?
question.
Did the air move from where it once was to where it is now?
Yes, because you
Okay,
physically
it did.
collided.
Can
You physically
anything
collided
move?
with the air molecules.
Can
No,
anything
breathing.
move without a force being applied to it?
Nobody is claiming that you can't.
exerts a force.
Nobody's claiming that
Right.
you are
So
not
if
able.
I displace something, what is the force that's causing that displacement of the air?
It's the normal force of your tissues, your body.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
normal
Breaking it
normal
down
force?
to a
Normal
molecular
force, not
level
normal
doesn't
force.
change the fact that the air moved from one place to another.
Yeah,
due
because you
to
exerted a force on it. None of this is supporting
yes,
your claim.
displacement.
Yeah, displacement isn't a
Otherwise,
force.
if it wasn't,
I want to point out while we've been saying all this, every single thing we've spoken about requires what? Containment.
That's
Yep.
begging the question.
no, it's not.
You need to prove that pressure requires a container. It doesn't.
No, we don't. We don't
I
have
can
to
prove
prove
it
that.
doesn't.
No,
Listen,
no,
listen,
we don't.
listen.
No,
I
oh,
can get in my car.
He said
you want
she could,
us to
he
prove
said
it,
he could
yes?
prove
I
it
can
doesn't.
prove it.
Okay,
You
okay.
can prove that it
So show
doesn't. Go
us,
ahead.
Drive-
Prove that
show
it
us
doesn't.
I get in my
pressure
car.
without container.
Yes, I get in my car. I stick my hand out the window. I feel pressure. There's no container.
Mhm.
You are in the container, for
You're
fuck's
in the
sake.
container.
That's
dumbass.
begging the question.
No,
Well,
it's
thank
not
you.
begging the
Yes,
question.
you're in the container called gravity.
So that's another way of thinking about it. But they're begging. They're logically. It's a logical fallacy. You beg the question.
Okay, so
It's an
Brenda,
ad hoc-
you
it's
have
an
not-
ad hoc
you have not
justification.
proven any. You've not proven
I just
anything
did.
other than. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I stick my hand out the window. I feel pressure on my hand. There's no container.
Why? Why do you feel pressure on your hand?
Because the air is exerting a force on my hand.
Why
It's
is it
force over-
doing that?
Pressure is force over area.
Okay, why is it doing that though?
But why?
Yeah, why?
Because it has energy.
Well, why doesn't the air just move out of the way and not exert any pressure on you? If it wasn't contained, there'd be plenty of room for it to move to somewhere else and not exert a pressure on you.
Because air isn't conscious and it can't detect your hand and move out of the way.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So you impact.
Well,
you
wait a
impact
second. Wait a
the
second.
air.
Hold on. No. Wait. What you're not understanding is it's like in a fog bank. Okay. If you walk into a fog bank, you don't feel the heavy pressure of fog pushing in on you now, do you? When you walk into it, what happens to it?
I think
It
fog
displaces. Just a moment. It displaces, and it doesn't cause any more pressure because there's plenty
Yeah, it
of room
does.
for it to move out of the way.
Yeah, it does. There's
Okay.
every time you walk, you're experiencing
Oh my
more
God.
pressure at your front than at your back.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
if you
it's
do it
not
fast
due to the
enough-
fucking fog, Brenda. That's what my point is. It
Well,
wasn't
what does that
due.
have to do with what
Fog
we're
did not.
talking
The
about?
fog didn't create more pressure on me because it was
No.
space for it to move.
The
The only
speed
way
at
you
which you're
can
moving
have
is what
that
causes the
is
pressure.
through the displacement of a contained
The
volume.
speed that if I'm going 40 miles an hour versus 60 miles an hour, I feel more pressure. It's not because of the air; it's because of the speed of the car.
It's because you're just pushing the gas.
Because wait. Have you ever? Why do you think they can travel faster in thinner air, Brenda? Because there's less friction. It's obviously the air. What the?
Yeah, but the
aerodynamics
force,
for a reason.
There is no
Brenda.
but. What's not
the
said.
force,
It's
the
exactly
force on my hand.
axiomatic.
There's no axiom. The force on my hand is greater when I'm traveling 60 miles an hour than 40 miles an hour because
In all
the speed
directions?
that I'm traveling of the
Hold on,
speed
wait a
that I'm
second.
traveling.
Is it in all directions, or is it only on that leading portion? Is the pressure even on your hand, or is it on the part that's getting hit with the wind first because you're moving forward?
When you
force is-
tense, when
Yeah,
you breathe,
it feathers
when
off.
you
So
letting-
that's a
expand,
dumb.
when you're
Let
breathing.
Let Luca reply.
Whoa, wait. Smokey says not friction, air resistance. Air resistance is friction.
Smokey?
How do you? Do you know what friction is?
Smokey is a PDF.
PDF.
Yes. He's convicted. He's an
Wow, I
ex-felon
don't-
PDF.
Well, he's a glober, just to let you know.
Well, that says something. I
When
suppose. Smoking bacon? I don't know who that is. Maybe that's the wrong person then.
Probably.
So anyway, the point Smokey Saint is the PDF, not Smokey McBacon. Anyway, so you guys can't even understand simple kinematics, right?
What in the
air
fuck
pressure?
are you talking
Air
about?
pressure is dynamics,
You cannot
not
have
kinematics.
a volume of gas without containment.
Prove it.
If you can,
I don't have to prove it. That's
if you
Yes,
can,
you
show
do.
us you can.
It's a
There
claim.
you go with the reversal. There you
It's
go
not
with
a
the
re-
reversal.
it's not a
of shit.
reversal.
That is axiomatic.
No, it's not.
Why do you not understand that?
You can't just declare
Okay,
it an
Brenda,
axiom
if it's not
because
axiomatic,
there's no
please
axioms in science.
Yes,
right? You
there
made a
are
positive
axioms
claim.
in
Brenda,
science.
No,
if-
they're only in
if
math.
you-
Yes, there
If your
are.
claim is
No, they're
For
true,
instance,
Brenda,
it.
if your claim is true, please bring to me now armloads of air.
Yeah, that's not a refutation, dude.
Please bring it to
So-
me. I will
Yeah,
get
that's not a
printers, please.
refutation. It's not a
No
refutation.
container.
That's
So
not
if
a
I made the
refutation.
claim, hold on, if I made the claim that it's impossible for someone to spontaneously turn into a grizzly bear, would I have to prove that claim, or would that be pretty much goes without saying?
You're not making a
No,
negative
I'm not,
claim.
Brenda. Stay on track.
You're making
Would
a positive claim.
would I have to prove that to be a fact?
You're making a
Would
positive
I
claim.
have to prove that as a fact or not?
It has nothing to do with what we're talking
It has
about. We're not-
absolutely everything to do with
No,
it.
it's
Answer the
not.
fucking question, Brenda. Would I have to prove that people cannot spontaneously turn into grizzly bears?
No.
You're not making a negative claim. You're
Would
making a
I
positive
have
claim.
to prove that people cannot spontaneously
Yeah,
turn
you're
into grizzly
making
bears?
a positive claim,
Answer
not a
the
negative
Just
question.
claim.
answer the question. Would I have to prove that? I
I
would
don't
have
have
to
to.
prove that. You
I
would
don't have
actually
to.
have to have proof that people cannot turn into a grizzly bear.
You have to prove that
Wait,
pressure requires a
you mean to
container.
tell me, wait a second. You mean to tell me that which is again axiomatic.
It's
We
not
all
an
agree.
axiom. There's
How many
no
people here?
axioms.
Put a one in the chat if you
Well,
think
what
people
Ad
can turn
populum,
into
fam.
grizzly
I-
bears.
Well, what does it
Popular
say on
ballot.
screen right now for you, Brenda? What does it say on screen right now for you?
As you recall, I can't usually read those because they're so small.
Okay, Solve, maybe you can read it out for Brenda.
In science,
All right.
something.
It says, in science, axioms are fundamental, unproven statements that are assumed to be true and form the basis of constructing theories and models.
Yeah, that's
Oh
wrong.
no! Oh no!
Well, that's
The
wrong.
AI is wrong.
That was AI. Oh no, now Google's wrong. Fuck.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
what are we
it
gonna
is.
do?
It's wrong.
Okay.
Brenda,
There we
scram
go.
it.
wrong.
Axioms in
Scram
science.
it.
Axioms in science. There we go. Better?
Yeah, I don't care. It's wrong. There are no axioms in
Why?
science.
Because you say so?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
just like you say so. You don't have a
Because you
citation.
say so. We've
You
shown
can't
you
cite-
several times citations that axioms are in science. Okay,
Yeah, you're
you
quoting.
keep saying they're
You're
not.
quoting. You're quoting AI. That's not.
On the
not valid
trustworthiness of
citation.
axiomatic founded science.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what. Is that a paper?
PhD, National Technical University of Athens.
Yeah. So what?
You telling us it doesn't exist, literally keep on showing you're
Yes,
just
I'm
speaking out of your
yes.
butt.
Name the axiom.
oh my God.
This is about the axioms of
There we
science.
go.
What
We've
axiom?
turned. We've
Do you even know what
gone
axiom
into.
is?
We've gone into the realm of the 13-year-old now. Now we're at
in
13
logic
years
and
old.
mathematics. In logic and mathematics, an axiom is a proposition that is assumed to be true without any kind of justification.
Okay, Science Direct. Axioms, properties, and criteria. Roles for synthesis in the science of consciousness.
You're just Googling and clicking on
So-
links.
No, I'm
Brenda,
keep bringing this stuff up for you, showing
Yeah,
you that
you're
axioms
just
are false.
Googling.
in my
And you see
example,
the word, and then you click on it.
In
and
other
it
words,
talks about
guys,
consciousness.
to be a glober, you must just ignore everything.
No,
That's it.
axioms.
Yeah, that's practically all it is. Just
What we
ignore.
have at best are
Brenda
laws,
just
not
ignores
axioms.
everything.
Yeah, that's because you just
Simple as that.
Google and look for words for your confirmation bias.
well, do you think how many people would say, do you think, in my example of the spontaneous changing into a grizzly bear, okay, and I say it's impossible for a human being to spontaneously turn into a grizzly bear. Would
what's your
anybody even question that? Would I actually get somebody that says, "Hey, you need to prove that," or would logic, reason, and knowing about all the other things, would you have somebody go, "Well, you need to prove that," or do you think that would pretty much be taken for granted that yeah, I can agree with that it's impossible for a human to turn into a
It's kind of like a rhetorical question.
That's not what logic. That's not how logic works. Logically,
how the fuck would you know how logic works, Brenda?
more personal
Good
attacks.
God.
More personal attacks. So logically, there's nothing that would prevent a person from spontaneously turning into a bear.
Yes, there are several things that would do.
Scientific
the fact
laws,
that genetics are wrong. The fact that the amount of
Genetics are not
matter involved between a bear and a human are
Genetics
wrong.
are not logic. Genetics are not logic.
I'm 13. I'm 13. I'm going to
Brenda,
act like a 13.
you all the
Genetics are
time.
not
You
logic.
lost,
Genetics
Brenda.
is science.
Brenda, face it. You lost.
There we go. Have it on
Okay.
screen.
You saying words doesn't make them true.
You lost.
Brenda,
Same
Brenda,
words.
let's
Brenda,
check your logic, okay?
Brenda.
You are speaking all the time about logic. So could you please provide for us three main parts of the logic?
Three main parts of any logic are the atoms,
Logic.
the propositions, and the syllogism.
No. It's a law of identity, law of non-contradiction, and law of
Those
a
are
excluded
axioms.
middle.
Those are axioms in logic. Those are
Hard
axioms.
to
They're not
speak with you.
laws. There are no laws in logic. Logic operates by axioms, operated on by propositions and
So is science
So
based on logic?
apply logic.
No,
wait.
science is
Is
not.
science based on logic, though, Brenda?
No, it's empiricism. It's not logic.
Is empiricism logical?
No, it's not.
So it's not logical to use empiricism.
That's correct. David Hume proved that.
Can you please explain that to me?
Right. The constant conjunction of A with B doesn't prove that B necessarily follows A. It's the constant conjunction of A causing B. We get the belief that A causes B, but logically there's no necessary connection between A and B.
Great.
That's
So
what
we can take, based on this logical argument, gravity does not contain gas.
No, go ahead, make the syllogism.
You just made a claim that it
Right.
doesn't specifically mean A causes B.
Right. We cannot
So does
logically
gravity
deduce.
cause containment for gas?
So the point is, so here's the traditional example. If it rains, the street will be wet, right? The street is wet.
No, I'm asking you, does
we cannot
gravity
conclude
cause
logically that it has rained.
containment of gas? That's what I'm asking you.
Does gravity cause it? Yeah, it does. It does
How?
because it requires energy.
But
for
you're
gas
just
to
contradicting your own statement. You just said
No, I'm not.
it doesn't specifically mean that because A claimed B, it doesn't mean B can be caused by A.
That's right. That's right. It's
So
not
you
a
just
logical.
contradicted yourself.
It's an empirical observation, not a logical conclusion. It's
So
empirical.
gravity is
not
not logical.
It's empirical, not necessary. Logical conclusions are
So
necessary.
gravity is not empirical or logical. It's none of them.
Gravity is an empirical.
Where? Can you please give me an empirical? Give me empiricism for
observation of-
gravity, please.
Yeah. Galileo.
That's not empiricism.
Yes, he did it. He conducted
Guy,
an
and Galileo
experiment.
is a person. He's not gravity.
I didn't say he was. Do you not
You said
understand how
Galileo.
English works? Yes.
Galileo.
He did experiments on an inclined. He did experiments on an inclined
No,
plane.
he did demonstrations, not experiments.
No, he actually did.
What
the
is his
experiment.
hypothesis?
He measured the speed at which objects fall, which is 9.8 meters per
That's
second.
not an experiment.
Yes, it is.
How's it going, Sean? What's up, man?
He measured how fast things fall down a roll down an inclined plane. And
So
showed-
Great, that's
and
not
from it-
science.
and
So the
from
guy,
it-
let me ask you
and
something.
from
A state
and-
trooper
and-
with a hold on, a
and
state
from
trooper
it-
with a radar gun on the
and
side
from-
of the
and
freeway.
from
Is he doing
that-
science.
And from
Is
that
that-
observation, he was able to formulate the known speed of gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second.
Which I thought they didn't get that except for in a vacuum. How did Galileo get past the air resistance and all that shit?
No, you minimize confounding variables. That's how you do it.
Okay. So is the guy the state trooper there on the side of the freeway with his radar gun measuring how fast cars go by? Is he doing science?
He's making
Is that a
observations.
scientific experiment? Is he doing an experiment?
It's not a formal experiment. No.
Maybe there's dropping shit off the side of a building.
Yeah, it is if you change
An
the
What's your
variable.
point?
observation.
What's
Yeah,
your
Well,
point?
my point is, it's
Science
so
is
what?
cause
So
it-
what? Somebody
wait, wait.
drops shit and it falls in this medium. It falls at the same speed. Okay.
The thing is,
so what?
science is
Different
science
masses.
is
with
causative.
different forces.
Yeah.
Different
Why
masses
do
with
objects of different mass fall at the same speed? Why do objects of different mass
Because-
fall?
Wait,
at
wait,
the-
Brandon.
Well, in what medium?
Why do objects of different mass fall
In
at the
what
same speed?
medium?
In the air.
In the air, because of their relative density to the medium.
Relative
Okay,
The
density
ratio.
is a force.
The ratio of the,
The
yes, the
ratio.
ratio.
No.
Give us
Why do-
give us the formula. Give us the formula for that, Sav.
Take the two objects and go underwater and drop them. Now what happens?
No, that's
give
not
us
the
the
question.
formula. Give us the
Yeah, it's
formula.
all about the. It's all about the medium.
Give
No,
us
it's
the
not.
formula for
All
that.
about the medium.
We
Give
can
us the
eliminate the
Why do you
medium.
need a formula?
Wait.
What
We're
is
going
with
totally off
that?
topic
Give me a
though. I'm still
formula.
trying to
we-
see.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to see though how they've shown us gas pressure at containment yet.
They haven't.
I'll show you. Display air pressures at different elevations.
Yeah.
Show me.
Which is
show me-
already in a
Surprise.
contained system.
Show me a container. Show me a container with 10% less gas pressure at the top than at the bottom.
Sure.
Easy.
All you have to do is heat one end
No.
and cool the
Show
other.
us.
That's
Show
all
us.
you have to
Show
do.
us where that's
That's
possible.
that's violating.
That's it.
That's
It's
violating.
very
the
easy.
terms
Have
of
you
the
ever
experiment.
been in a grain silo before?
Yes.
People die in grain silos.
Yeah, I have been. in a
Is
grain
the air
silo.
pressure
Okay,
lower at the top of the grain silo than the bottom?
by 10 times?
You know what happens when you have a hot day?
Flat.
Do you know what happens when it's a hot day? It
Why don't you
changes
answer
the pressure
how
quite
trans-
a lot. at the top.
Wait a second.
Why
Wait a
do you
second. Wait a
need
second.
the
Here's
heat
why we're not
except
answering.
That's
Here's
right.
why they're
That's
not
right. How
answering
come
the
you can't
question.
answer
And
my
this is
question?
why.
Yes.
Because
No.
you have a claim that goes against physical possible reality and have
Prove it.
absolutely no proof of it. Now,
Our
if you have a
science
gradient, I
perfectly
agree. There is
describes.
listen.
Our science
I
perfectly
agree that
describes
there is a
reality.
pressure gradient. I agree that there is a pressure gradient. However, the natural antecedent of pressure gradient is pressure. Okay,
There's no such
we must
thing as a
first have
natural
pressure
antecedent.
in order to have a gradient of any kind.
There's no such
Okay?
thing as a natural
Now,
antecedent.
is there another kind of gradient that you can think of?
What? No such thing as a natural antecedent. You're serious?
That's right. That's right. There's no such thing as a necessary
Right.
antecedent.
So how can you have
What
gas
is an
pressure?
antecedent? What is an
How
antecedent?
can you have a gas
Grandpa,
pressure
Grandpa,
gradient?
hush,
Okay.
hush,
Wait.
Grandpa.
An antecedent needed to move to drive your car. You need
What is
gas.
an
How's
antecedent?
that?
What is an antecedent, Keith?
Okay, so
A request, a prerequisite needed for something to
No,
exist.
that's not what it is.
okay,
Yes,
so wait a
that's
second,
exactly
Brenda.
what it
Yes,
is.
No, it's not.
yes.
It's,
Look,
Yes,
I'm gonna
it is.
no, it's
listen,
not.
Brenda. You
It's an
take-
antecedent
put
consequence.
your
Doesn't
foot
know
back.
science
Put
and
your
math
foot back
or-
into your mouth. Put your foot back into your mouth. Okay.
There's no such thing as a necessary
An
antecedent.
antecedent is literally the thing that needs to be exist if something else wants to exist.
What kind
That's
of a
false.
gradient is it? What
It's
kind
true.
of a gradient?
Okay, can
What-
a baby exist without a female and male mother and father?
That's not the question. What is
Can a baby
Stop
exist
deflecting.
without the mother and father?
Stop deflecting, Flats.
provides
Stop
for you-
deflecting.
All right.
You just
The
Example.
I'm gonna put it right in.
antecedent of the baby is the mother and father.
There's no such
Let
thing
me
as a
put it- let me put
necessary
it under- I'm
antecedent.
gonna put
What
it
you're
right
Yes,
talking
the
about,
necessary antecedent.
Let
You're
me put it
talking-
right into context of what we're talking about.
Grandpa's
What
holding a
kind
great
of
big
a-
dick to his face.
Shh. What kind of a gradient is it?
A pressure
What
gradient.
kind of a
You've
gradient
said
is
it
it?
like
It's
7
a-
times.
It's a pressure gradient, right?
Good
So
job,
this
buddy. You got
requires. All
What
right.
causes the
All
pressure
right,
gradient?
Brenda, shh. We're going on
What
what
causes it?
we're going to the antecedents of
There's no
gas
such thing as a
pressure.
necessary antecedent.
Okay. So, in order to have a gas pressure gradient, what must we first have? Gas pressure.
Good job. We all agree
Yeah,
with
but
Right?
you need to,
All
Yeah, you need
right.
to
All
prove-
right.
you need to
So
prove that you-
now
need to
we're
prove
right
you
back
require a
to now
container
we're
for the
right
pressure.
back to where we started with gradient or not.
You need to
Okay,
prove that a
gradient or
container is
not,
required.
then regardless of your assumptions of gravity making layer cake air,
And your
Gravity
assumptions
is an
that gravity
observed
needs
phenomenon.
okay,
and your assumptions that pressure needs a containment. That's it.
well,
That's your assumption.
it's because it's not an
It's
assumption.
axiomatic.
Then
Yeah,
go
yes, you
ahead,
bet
then
the
go
question.
ahead, then go ahead and produce a fluid pressure system of any kind without a physical container.
Sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I've produced them before in the past. This guy, I don't see his name.
Oh,
Sounds
show
like
us.
The
Wesley.
example would be the Horsehead Nebula. Again,
No,
it has
no,
pressure.
keep it.
in
It's
a vacuum
not
of outer
Narnia
space.
land, okay? Not Narnia land. Narnia
It's not-
is proof
it's
that
observed.
lions can talk, okay?
We measure.
Narnia is the proof that lions can talk. Keep it in reality.
We can
Okay?
measure the
You
gas
don't know
pressure.
shit. You
Yes.
haven't measured anything. You haven't measured anything. Shut
Yes, you
the fuck
can.
up.
You
No,
can
you
measure the gas
Who's we?
pressure of the
When
Horsehead
have you
Nebula.
ever measured the Horsehead Nebula, Brenda?
Scientists have.
When have you ever measured the?
That's
Stop
a
deflecting,
fallacy.
Slob.
That's
Stop-
a
stop
genetic. That's a
deflecting.
genetic fallacy.
Exactly.
That's
Okay.
a genetic fallacy.
So,
Let me explain
Can
this.
you?
Hey, let other
Can
people
you
talk,
using
Grandpa.
using the
Soft, calm
scientific
down.
method
Soft, calm down. You're getting triggered. Soft, calm
Let
down.
other
Okay,
people
guys.
talk.
Guys, okay.
demonstrate a fluid pressure system without physical containment?
Yes, the Horsehead
Okay, go
Nebula has a. The
That's
Horsehead
not a
Nebula,
demonstration. That's a claim.
It's an
That's
observation
not a
and a
demonstration.
measurement.
That's a claim, Brenda.
It's a
Okay,
measurement.
Brenda, there are other people also on the panel would like to talk. It's good to see you guys.
That's
I just
fair
want to
enough.
point
That's
out.
fair enough.
I just
That's
want to
fair
point
enough. I'm okay
out
with
that
it. I'm okay with it.
Brenda has just been saying "nah" the whole evening. Anyway,
No,
we
she
got
hasn't.
Sean
No,
in
I'm
the
not.
house.
I've required
Wesley in.
you
How's
to.
it going,
I've
guys?
given reasons. I've given reasons. You don't. You say nuh-uh.
Do you trust NASA?
Yeah.
Why are they telling
Hey,
us
Flat,
you
sorry.
require containment for?
That's not
Hey,
what
how's it
that
going,
says.
Sean?
That's not. That doesn't say that you. It says.
Hey guys, I just
that
wanted to
flat
point out
plate-
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Brenda, give me just 1 second. I just want to point out real quick to everyone that we are at all times carrying around with each of us carry around with us on our persons a container that holds in high pressure and then occasionally lets it out to equalize with the pressure outside of us. It's our butt.
Yeah, that doesn't prove.
Yeah,
that
so
doesn't prove,
all
that
day
doesn't
long, I'm telling you, I'm answering your question. All day long, we show you that it is, every time I open that container, it always equalizes the pressure. It never maintains the pressure
How does
internally. It always equalizes.
Brenda, shut up.
How
Let him
does
speak.
that? How does that prove that a container is required?
Yeah, anecdotal evidence.
Because
doesn't
every
support
single
it.
time,
That
every single time you open up the container, it equalizes the pressure. There's never been ever an experiment that shows after the container's open, the pressure stays unequal.
That
It doesn't equalize.
prove
It's
that you
it
have
doesn't
to have a
equalize either.
container.
Brenda, it doesn't even equalize.
So Brenda, your whole argument,
Stop.
your
Somebody
whole
else is
argument
talking.
is
Hey,
relying on.
Stop. Other people were
No,
talking.
shut the fuck up.
Stop.
No.
Other people were talking.
No. I'll keep
Stop.
talking. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking.
Well, if you're going to keep
Hey,
talking,
I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to
answering
keep
his
talking.
question.
I
Okay.
don't want you to
You can be a
answer his
child.
question. I'm talking.
You can be
Okay?
a child. So,
So the
getting back
thing
to
is what it
AIC,
comes down to
Sean,
is basically
Sean,
an argument of your basic argument is wanting to prove a negative, reversal
you're
of
wrong.
fallacies
You're
all
wrong.
over the place,
Wrong.
proving that that you can't turn into a werewolf, that I have to prove the negative. That's bullshit. That's
Sean, you
absolute
think
bullshit.
you think
So what you
anecdotal-
need to do
think
is to
anecdotal evidence proves it?
demonstrate, not make up stories about
How
what
do
you
you let
think you
this turn
see in
into
the
a sob
sky.
show every time?
Not
Why are you
looking
talking? Can you
into.
just keep quiet for 2 seconds?
If you just shut the fuck up, I could
Yeah,
get
I
done with
muted him
this.
so you can talk. I muted him so you can talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you can't demonstrate, not make up stories about what you think you see in the sky, or naming some ancient person that you know of that you learned about in school or some other bullshit like that. I'm talking about an actual, this is supposedly the reality. So there must be some kind of a scientific experiment somewhere that verifies this claim of a gas pressure without containment. Until that can be demonstrated, it remains axiomatic that this is a fact. It just is.
Okay, he dropped. There he's back again. Yeah, it's very simple. There we go.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here, man. I just
All right.
I just
Yeah,
had you
what
on
would be
WhatsApp.
what would be the inverse of this argument? To claim something that's never been demonstrated or observed must be real. Like what we could compare this to? Because this is the most ludicrous argument we've ever heard from Globers.
Yeah, it's insane. They're making positive claims that go against every demonstration and natural law known to man, and telling us we're supposed to go and prove the latter to that. Prove the negative.
Now, I personally think that Brenda just likes to argue, but when I hear other people come on here and try to take that same position, I think, man, what are they putting in the water? Like these people are
Fluoride.
Something's wrong.
I think
No,
they
you're
have,
not muted, Wes. I muted you when Sav was talking because you wouldn't keep quiet.
He can't.
I think they have a special tube, straight connection to the chemtrails, and they just breathing in this stuff.
Oh, wait, I know where we
Yeah,
can compare this to. We've also heard this positive claim about curvature, which never been observed or demonstrated.
Yeah.
Well, they do claim horizontal curves.
Yeah, for some reason they think a line and an arc are the same.
But somehow horizon is flat. So.
What does the Bible say about the container?
It's a firmament, physical firmament to separate the waters above from the waters below, and it's to God put all the luminaries inside there.
Waters above.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are the waters above and the waters below? What does that describe?
Water.
The waters
What's
above are
water?
described after the flood. They're waters above the firmament.
What's the water below?
That
The seas.
would be under the earth, I guess.
Oh, the seas. Can you tell me where the vacuum is in that, please?
What vacuum? Who said anything about a vacuum?
The only people claiming a
Well,
vacuum.
that's your. I thought that's your explanation for why you have to have a container.
Well, you'd have to have a container.
Otherwise it's
You'd
all
have to.
shot into the
Well,
vacuum.
let me put it this way to you: if you went diving, can you take an armload of air down with you, or do you have to have that contained?
I'm talking about the necessary antecedent of gas pressure being a container.
Yeah.
And if
Yes.
it didn't have a container, what would happen to the
It
gas?
does need containment.
What would happen to the
How would
gas?
we
if
breathe
didn't have-
now if we were underwater? Wait,
What
Alderbear.
would ha- We're
How
not
would we breathe
underwater.
now if we
We're
didn't
not
have
underwater.
Exactly, because of the firmament, because of the
Yeah, but you
containment.
said that the gas pressure, the antecedent of the gas pressure is a container. If you don't have a container, what
No,
happens
the
to the
gas pressure
gas?
isn't
Hang
a
on,
container.
hang on.
The
If you
gas is
don't have a
in
container, what
contained
happens to the gas pressure?
It disperses
Into where?
into
the available
whatever
volume.
available volume is there.
It always
I thought
looks
it
for
was a vacuum.
equilibrium.
You're talking about a vacuum.
Wait. Do you know how to separate?
Okay,
Yeah.
let's assume.
I think I know what he's asking. So the Bible describes the container, the firmament that it contains us, as circular in the shape of a dome. And it says beyond that, it's supporting waters above it, in which there's another firmament that contains those waters that is being held by the firmament above us. And then above those waters is another firmament layer. But there's multiple firmament layers of the heaven on which there's organized creation involved in those layers. And so there's
So is
the
the
firmament layer
black,
that,
Sean?
no, it's
Is the
clear. It's
firmament
described
black?
as clear in Scripture. It's described as
Okay,
clear
then
in
you
Scripture.
just-
So with
You
an
just made a
absence,
comment down from high altitude balloons. You see blue, and you look
Right.
up and you see dark. So why black?
yeah,
Why
because
is that if it's
because
clear?
yeah, I'll answer you, because the
I thought-
lights that are pointed down into our enclosure are not pointed at the waters. It's described as basically there's those waters are not being excited, if you will, with sunlight. So the sunlight is going through the enclosure into our enclosure, and this is why.
This is just your imagination.
How come
of
you
course.
wait? Hold on.
Okay, well, here's I'm just trying to explain to you real quick. If you're asking a logical question, I'm
How
trying
come
to
you can
address
see
it.
the sun then?
All right, so whoever the other guy is
Yeah.
talking, so I can finish answering Elderbear. So the logical
You
question
asked about the
was,
Bible,
we're
so
contained
to
with
explain
air
you
pressure,
how it's reading the
and what's
Bible.
causing the air pressure? Okay, never mind. I'm just going to stop talking. You guys are ridiculous.
No, I didn't say that. I wasn't asking what creates the air pressure. I'm saying where does the air pressure go if you don't have a container?
You don't have air pressure. It disperses.
Why? Where did what? Well, I mean, everything I've ever heard was that this air pressure, if it wasn't a container, the air pressure would be dispersed into this near vacuum of minus 17 torr.
Well, that's
or
in
whatever.
comparison to what the globe model claims that the Earth is.
Where is this vacuum?
Well, this is what you guys call space.
No,
Well,
I don't
whatever.
call
I
it.
don't.
It's what
This is what
necessitate.
globers.
It's what
This is
you
what
call it.
globers call space. I'll put it that way.
No,
Yes.
no, it's not. No, it isn't. It's what the flat earthers tell everybody.
No, it's not. Why?
Nobody ever told
You think we
me
made that up? That came from you.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
did.
tell
That came
everybody.
from
You
your
teach everybody.
side.
No,
Yes,
not my
yes,
side.
Yes,
It's not
yes,
my
yes,
side.
from your side.
You know,
It all
I
came
never
from
heard.
the glober side. Yes, it did.
I never heard anything about this except from the mouths of flat earthers ever.
That's because we show how ridiculous what the globe model claims is.
Incredulity.
None of us believe that.
Okay.
None of us think that there's
So
a void out there with
incredulity.
infinite emptiness, with lumps of gas somehow forming together for no reason against gas behavior. None of us believe that. That's your guys' story, man.
So why don't you use the correct rhetoric then, Sov?
What rhetoric?
About this gas that was dispersed into the water.
Well, why would it disperse into the water if we've got a container over us? What the hell are you talking about?
Well, because it was, it's either as minus 17 vacuum
Well,
soil there to
look.
expand
Look.
into,
I
or
don't
there's
claim to
water.
know anything beyond the firmament.
Yeah, we
What's
agree.
there?
You could have just stopped with I don't know.
You
Okay.
don't know anything. You
Okay.
don't know about the. Where is the firmament?
It's
Where is
right
the
up
firmament?
above us.
You should have just stopped with I don't know anything.
Where do you
That
think
would've
it's
been
at?
more-
Under your feet?
Why haven't, after all this time, you guys haven't got
What
an
do you mean an
argument
argument
together?
together?
For this?
We're doing it right
A
now.
logical
I'm
argument,
using a logical
syllogism.
argument right now.
You know,
No, it's not.
go on then, give us one
Okay,
about that.
I'm
Go on,
using a logical
give us a
argument right
logical
now.
syllogism.
No, you're not. No, you're
No,
not.
if
Okay.
then,
You want to hear logic argument, and I put question on
Oh,
you.
from Yanush. Yanush will
If
do it a
your
little better.
claims as a Globers are true, please provide for us just one example. You have air pressure, air gradient without container. Just one, no more.
Sure, electromagnetic.
I'm not claiming it. I'm not claiming it. I was asking you about how that works. If the Bible says it's water up there, then you're not talking about a vacuum.
You can have it.
Okay, so you have a different
Well,
argument.
no, because in either case, a volume of gases would require containment.
Nope.
This is why scuba divers.
So what you should be saying is, without the container, we'd be
SCUBA,
swimming.
the acronym for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, uses containers
Yeah, but that's
of air.
yeah, it's because we can't live under the water.
You notice
We have
that
to
the
take
air.
some.
You
We have to
notice
take
that
some
the
air with
air
us.
has to be in a container. What would happen to the air if they rupture the container underwater? What happens to it? What
Why
happens
isn't-
to it?
Why isn't
what
your
happens
argument
to
then?
the
Why isn't your
air?
argument
question?
What happened?
Why can't you? I was not interested in that.
Of course you're not.
Why isn't your argument one that says that the antecedent of gas
Mhm.
pressure on the Earth is so that we don't drown?
Well, whether we drown, suffocate, whatever, doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to the point. It's completely irrelevant to the point.
So the gas pressure wouldn't disperse into
Wait
the
a minute.
empty
Wait a
space.
minute.
We'd just be flooded.
It wouldn't
We'd be
disperse into the
swimming.
empty space. What happens to the scuba tank if I puncture it underwater?
We'd be
What
swimming.
happens to the air in the scuba tank if I puncture it underwater?
Blub, blub, blub,
That's
blub,
right. It
blub,
goes
blub.
out of the container and it goes away, doesn't it? We no longer have a container. It's only
Yeah, I know, but you
contained
need
within bubbles until it reaches the surface, right?
no. No, it's contained because you need it under pressure.
How come the gas doesn't disperse evenly, Sav?
What do you mean? Why doesn't the gas disperse evenly?
Why doesn't the gas disperse evenly in the atmosphere?
It's a
Because of the
dynamic system. We
temperature.
have variables involved. We have a lot of variables involved. We have temperature. We have dispersal area. We have compositional makeup. There's a number of factors working hand in hand with one another at all times, creating this dynamic system.
Why can't you how come when you have the same temperature you can't create that in a container of yourself where it's
I actually got a question.
Temperature.
I
Is
actually
the
got a
Earth
question for you,
is
Globes,
the
though.
entire Earth
Well,
the
it's in
same
a
temperature
vacuum.
everywhere all the time?
I've
But
actually
you
got a
make an
question for you,
experiment
Globes.
where you can.
Actually,
They've already made those experiments.
How long is it?
Those experiments are done all the time.
How long is it
Yeah,
estimated?
Globes, why is it?
How long?
Why is it if you take a bag of potato
Let's
chips?
speak. Shut up.
Why is it if you take a
Shut up,
bag of
Yanush.
potato chips, it swells up when you go up a mountain
Yeah.
until it actually explodes?
I saw that
Because
happen.
there's
I
less
saw that
because of
happen.
gravity.
Because of gravity.
Yeah,
Like,
there's less
gravity.
there's
Gravity made a
Because of the
potato
pressure
chip bag
differential.
bust open.
Hey, shut
Right.
up. Let Flats talk, Sav. Perpendicular man.
How long? How long is it estimated that the air will last?
It doesn't matter. Just answer the
It'll
question.
last. It'll
Why are you
Flats,
dodging the
it's your
bullet?
question. It's gravity. It's gravity is
It'll
causing.
keep-
How long
it'll
can we
keep- it'll
live
keep
within a
recycling.
stat?
Do you
Sorry?
know they got do you guys know there's a terrarium this guy built in like 1967?
Yeah, it's never
completely
happened.
It's completely
Story time with
self-contained.
Story
Go
time
on,
with
And
show
it's
me.
still, it's
Citation.
still.
Come on, Grandpa, give it
Hey,
to us.
Wesley,
Come on, give it to us,
little
Grandpa.
child.
Come
How
on,
many
Grandpa.
people are living in there, Sov? How
Okay,
many
why do
people
you
are
have to
living
act,
in it?
why do you have to be like a little child, Wesley?
How many
I'm the
people
child.
are
Okay,
living
I'm making a point
in
here.
the container?
Okay, they have this terrarium that they built, and it's enclosed, self-contained, and it's still alive. It's still alive. It's
Where'd you learn about
recycling
this?
its own water.
Yeah, where'd you learn
It's
about this?
recycling its own
I think it's
fucking
40
shit.
years
It's
old.
a whole
Where'd
little
you learn about this?
biosphere is 40 years old.
I think that terrarium's 40 years
How many
old, by the
people are
way.
living in it,
I
Soph?
think
No,
that
have you?
terrarium's 40
Soph,
years
how many
old.
people are living in it?
I
Elderberry, hold
can't
on a
hear
second.
nothing. Wesley can't shut the fuck up
Hey,
long enough for me
hey,
to say that.
Sav, have you seen it? Have you gone and seen it?
Yes. Yes.
Where is it at?
Yes, they brought it. They took it on tour. They brought it to the Cranbrook Science Institute in just outside of Detroit, Michigan, back in
That proves.
1980, I think.
And what does that prove? What does that prove?
Well, they're an enclosed biosphere, existed. Okay, and you got contrary to what you people think.
Nope.
That an enclosed, self-contained biosphere has existed for over 40 years now and is still alive.
What does that prove?
That proves that that an enclosed system does support life like that. That's what it proves. Contrary to what you idiots
How's
think.
that contrary?
Human life?
How's that contrary?
And also note that
How's
there's
that
a pressure
contrary?
gradient inside that terrarium too.
By 10 times? Flats by 10
Well,
times?
of course not. It's
It doesn't matter. Wait. I don't
It
care
does
if it's
matter.
10 times, 100
How many
times,
experiments?
1% times. The point is,
How many
gas
experimental
pressure
biospheres have
cannot
been used?
Why are you talking over me?
Shut
I'm
up.
talking.
Because he's not trying to have a conversation. They're trying to stop the conversation.
Yeah, Flats, I don't even know why you're letting these guys ruin your day, bro.
That's
why you letting these guys ruin your day.
How long we got to live in the container?
Okay, so I've muted them so I can actually make my statement.
Yeah,
the whole point of this is we can demonstrate day in, day out, based on every single gas law in existence, every single natural law in existence, every single demonstration, the way your car runs, the way you actually live, your lungs, everything about you, everything about reality shows you require containment for gas pressure to exist. The mere fact that gas pressure is literally gas pressing on the container walls by definition shows to be true. You guys are going against that fact. You guys are just saying nah and pointing to a fictional character called gravity and just saying, look, Ma, gravity. Actually demonstrate your claim instead of trying to push it on to us. We're not the ones going against reality here. You guys are.
It's repeatable and testable.
I never mentioned gravity. Never mentioned gravity once. Sov likes a bit of gravity. I just wondered, in this biosphere that was created, there's never been one that's been created that can support human life.
How do you? Well, okay.
They all failed. They all failed. All the experiments failed. Yeah. And could you stop smoking, please? You're polluting because you're polluting the container. We're all going to die because you've got a habit. It's spreading over here.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, how long are we going to live in this polluted container?
What do you mean? This thing's always filtrating itself all the time. Through
Where?
The plants,
Where's the filter system?
Through microorganisms, through fungi. Will
Where's the
you
pressure
let a
valve?
person finish before you start fucking talking? You ask me a
Pressure
question,
valve.
I'm trying to goddamn answer it. Okay? So plants filter the air, water filters the air, the biome in the soil. Okay, we've got all kinds of this. It's a dynamic system. The respiration process of this world is incredible, especially down here closer to the Earth where we are. I mean, we have a constant exchange of gases. We have a constant exchange and production of gases from matter into gases, from gases back toward matter. We have. It's incredible how this goes. They've even discovered new fungi that actually eat radiation. This is some crazy stuff, man. They got an organism that they can take and put into an oil spill, and it actually eats the oil.
Well, I think you should get an argument together, you guys. I mean,
Why?
you got to
You're
be
the one.
something you can
You
make
guys
an
are the only
argument.
ones arguing. Bring your argument. I mean, we're doing that right the
No,
fuck
that's
now.
bickering. We're talking about an argument. An argument, you know, to state your claim.
We don't have a claim. You guys have a claim. We have an observation. You have a claim that defies logic, defies science, defies physics.
I'm working on an argument. I'm working on an argument at the moment.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm working on an argument at the moment. Yeah.
So, you know,
it's called, it's probably going to be called a flat Earth dichotomy
Okay, so
argument.
the globe Earth incorporates scientific impossibilities, physical impossibilities. It's you guys have the claim that requires the proof. You guys are always with the proof the negative.
What do you mean, you guys? What do you mean, you guys?
You guys.
What do you mean, you guys?
Globers or space heads or whatever the fuck you are.
I'm not
Those
a glober.
basic trolls.
So
I'm not a glober. I'm just asking some questions that kind of come up in my mind.
Exactly
you know?
what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, like the 6,210. That was a question came up in my mind.
Okay.
You know, and the circumference of the equator.
Now, did you verify that circumference of the equator?
Yeah,
how did you verify that?
So it's essential for navigating.
I go by what I'm given. I've never measured it myself. I've never even calculated it myself.
No, you haven't.
Have you?
No, I know you haven't.
Have you?
Yeah, it's essential. It's not me. It's essential.
You have calculated the equator. Would you please tell me how?
No, I never said I had. I never said I had.
That's what the discussion was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
can
neither one of us
miles per 1
have
degree
ever actually
in reality
calculated the equator, and we are reliant
upon. It's
no,
essential
don't
for
start
navigation
in the
on the Earth.
Because I will until you let me finish.
It's essential for navigation on the
Okay.
Earth.
All right. Wonderful. It's essential for navigation of the Earth.
The circumference of the Earth is essential.
So are you telling me that sailors wait out there when they're at a certain position and determine that that's exactly where the sun is?
Yes, it's essential.
And how did they calculate that?
Yeah.
And how did you? So neither of us have calculated this distance, have we? We can agree on that?
It can be done in reality.
Neither one of us.
He's asking a question. Answer.
Just answer the fucking question.
It can be. Shut up, you. It can be done.
I don't
in
care
reality.
if it can be done. Can we agree?
To Polaris equals 69 miles.
Can we agree that neither you nor I have ever calculated the distance to the equator from the North Pole?
I haven't been all the way around with my tape measure. No.
Okay, so the answer is yes. You can agree that neither of us. Can you also agree that we are reliant upon information that has been given to us?
We're a navigation. It has to
yes or no. Simple question.
It's a yes or no question.
It has to work.
If you didn't come up with the information yourself, you are now what? Reliant on someone else having done it for you. The same as I. Okay? So in all reality, neither of us really knows what the actual distance to the equator is, because the information that we have gotten have been given to us by people who have a track record of lying about shit. So we just have to trust.
You gave it to me.
We just have to trust that the information that we're given regarding this is correct. That's all.
You gave me the 24,901 the other day.
That's what they tell.
You said it was exact.
Was that my number, or was that a number somebody else calculated?
Yes, it was your number. It was your number. You said.
Hold on.
You said.
I just told you that I never calculated it, and I am reliant upon whatever information has been given to me regarding that. Correct?
Why did you say the other day they had to be the same?
Just
Why did you say the other day they had to be the
on
same?
The flat Earth and on the globe are the same fucking size. It's the midway point of the sun between the two tropics. That's all.
What size is that?
Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay, so you
nothing more, nothing less.
You agree that the circumference is the same.
I don't agree.
You just said it was. You said it.
because
You
you're
just said they're
trying
the
to word
same.
me into
You just said they're the
whatever
same.
the
Straight off your
equator
mouth,
actually
man.
is. Hey, listen, whatever the equator is, it's
They're
the
the same.
equator. It's shush. It's the equator. And it doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up.
You
God
said
damn
nobody
it.
knew.
God damn, will you
So
shut
you do
up?
know.
Just shut your
Size of it.
stupid little snippy fucking faggy voice.
I just muted him because he won't just shut up. There we go. Go on.
It does not matter. The equator, the midway point of the sun's travel between the two tropics, is the same distance, regardless of whether it's a globe or regardless of whether it's a flat earth. Your belief is that the equator is the edge, the outer portion of the earth. I do not. Okay? And whether you have one distance or another distance, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not going to make the earth a globe. And it's certainly not going to prove that gas pressure is possible without physical containment. Now, run your mouth.
Hey, Sav, can I ask you then if the equator is where the sun travels around between the tropics?
You said run. Hang on a minute, Wesley. Hang on a minute, Wesley. Wesley, hang on a sec.
You've been talking all the time, dude. Hold on a second.
Sov was just saying. Sov, you said that the circumference of the equator on the globe and on the flat Earth are the same. With the edge, I never said that. I'm just comparing the two given circumferences.
Once
Right?
again,
They're both the same. You've done okay, but you agreed they're the same distance.
The Earth, the flat
and
Earth,
what distance
and the
is
globe
that?
Earth equator are going to be the same place because it's the midway point of where the sun is traversing back and forth. That's all.
Yeah. And
So
what is the distance?
It doesn't matter.
What is the distance?
It doesn't. I don't know.
Yes,
I've
it
never
does.
measured it. Again, all I have is to rely on is that which has been provided. Just like you.
Well, it's provided. It's provided by the clock, the 24-hour clock.
Well, okay, you say so. You
Yeah.
just said,
No.
okay,
Well, that's not
so
me
you
say so.
verified.
It's a
So
fact.
you verified that distance by the clock.
Well, 15 degrees an hour.
So
Yeah.
what? 15 degrees an hour. How does that matter? How do you know
Yeah.
how far
And-
that
and-
was
and
away
that
from you? How do you know that? So what? It went around in the sky. Big deal. A record goes around 33 1/3 RPM. So what? What's that fucking do for you? Nothing.
Well, they each have a different radius to derive that value.
Well, why? Maybe
Because they're both circles.
maybe they've got that radius wrong.
Well, they're both circles. Whether they've got
I
them
don't know,
wrong
man.
or not,
Here's what you need to
two
do.
models.
Here's what you need to do because it's so important to you. What you need to do is go calculate that yourself and verify what size is right. Either way, it doesn't make the fucking Earth a globe.
I'm just putting together an argument,
Well,
Sulfur,
that's
okay?
not a very good one because it
argument
doesn't prove convexity.
Based
it doesn't
on the given.
address the
Yes, it does.
impossibilities of the postulation.
It addresses the impossibilities of either one or the other of these stated cases.
Okay, so we've got different sides
Now,
of the equator.
How do you derive the circumference? How do you derive the circumference of a circle?
Really? Pi r squared.
How do you derive?
Pi r squared.
No, that's not it.
Yeah,
no,
you're asking for a circumference.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what?
Pi r squared is not the
What's the pi r squared?
Okay. You don't. Okay, so I'm not going to take. I'm not going to take the diameter and multiply it by pi. I'm not going to do that.
That's not pi r squared. You tell me.
What? Wait a minute. So
so
you're not going to do that. And why is this going to matter? How is this going to make?
No, we're not going to do that, Sob.
So why are we doing this again?
We were trying to get the circumference of a circle from the radius.
Okay, why are we doing
the diameter?
This? Why are we doing this?
Well, we're not with your equation
about this at all, were we?
I asked. Hang
We
on.
both
I asked
agreed that
you how
neither
you
one of us knows exactly where the equator is, and that we are reliant upon
listen.
information
That's
that has
not the
been given
question.
to us.
That
Is
wasn't the
that true or
question,
not?
numbnuts.
Is that true or
No.
not?
Oh no. Listen, I asked you
Is
how you
what I just
derive
said
the
true
circumference
or
of a
not?
circle.
Is what I just said true
Very
or
simple
not?
question.
Look,
How do you
you
derive
are going into
the
details
circumference of a
instead
circle?
of focusing on the basics, which you didn't cover. So if you have fucked up basics, you
We are
cannot
getting
go
there.
for the
We're
more
getting
advanced
there,
things. It's
Mister.
as simple as that. You cannot make a.
Yeah, we're not talking. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. You're just
Doesn't
giving
matter.
obfuscation.
I'm talking to Peter,
So,
not
how do
you.
you derive the How do you derive the circumference of a circle?
I don't know. I don't know, little snippy faggy British guy. Tell me.
Don't start with your fag stuff to me, Sov.
Why?
I'm not one of your kids. Don't treat me like one of your
You
kids.
act like
all right?
a kid. You
Exactly.
act like
Don't
a
start
kid. You
calling.
need to be
Don't
treated like
no.
one.
What?
You
Because
act
I
just
asked
like
you
a
how
little
you
kid.
derive a
You do.
circumference.
You act just like a little
Because
kid.
I asked you
Now
how you
you're off
derive the
into fucking
circumference of a
stupid ass
circle.
goddamn shit about something that don't mean
Yeah,
it.
you're an
Fucking heel of a bitch
arrogant,
to nothing.
violent man. All
What?
right, you're an arrogant, violent man.
I'm
That's what you are.
violent. Now
An
I'm
arrogant,
violent.
violent
How
man.
do you figure I'm violent?
Yes. Well, all your whole body language just
How do you
tells
figure
me
that I'm violent? Your body language? Now you're a body
Exactly.
language expert or some
Yes.
shit? Get
Yes.
out of here.
So, how do you derive the circumference of a circle?
You take a tape measure and you wrap it
Simple
all the way
question.
around it.
Yes, right? Or a diameter.
No, you
They
just
have a
asked me. I told
relationship.
you.
Never
I don't
geometric
understand how we've. I don't
metric
understand how we've
relationship.
gotten. I don't understand how we've gotten from gas
I don't
pressure
either.
requires containment
Neither, to be honest.
to a
I
guy that
know.
can't even decide what he lives on, but
Flat,
wants
I
to
know,
fight for a
because
closed radius.
they always do a
Because Sov
conversation.
said that they were
They
both
always
the
do a
same.
conversation. Instead of
Sov
focusing
said
on
they were
topic,
both the
they
same.
always bring some shit. That's what they always
Topic is
do.
gas pressure containment. Okay, so not. We don't. The thing is, we don't care whether you believe you're on a globe or a donut or whatever. The topic is gas pressure.
I'm trying to work it out
containment.
based on your data, the data you give me.
Well, come
A
back on
circumference
a
has
day
nothing to do with gas pressure
when we're talking
containment.
about that. How about you come back on a day we're talking about that?
Well, you were just talking about it. You
Yeah,
said they were the same.
you keep
You
asking
obfuscated
a
and
bunch
you got
of
to talk
fucking
about it.
unrelated questions. Okay. Now, are you wanting to join the?
He said I should get an argument, and I said I got
join
one.
the discussion on the topic, or are you going to keep on with your little wanker shit?
I did. I was looking for the vacuum, but you have
all right,
water.
so
You don't
we're
have a
back to the
vacuum. You have
vacuum.
water.
We don't claim a vacuum.
And I said that you should
We
make an
don't
argument
claim
whereby
we don't claim a vacuum.
the antecedent to gas pressure is
We don't claim a vacuum.
the antecedent to gas pressure for you lot.
No, that made absolutely no sense. There you are, right back into your little 13-year-old brain again.
If there was no container, the water would be below.
Why?
Because there's water above. You said there's a container, water above it.
Okay,
and we're below it.
All right, and what would happen?
If there was
and
no
what would happen to
container,
the air?
We'd be drowning.
And what would happen to the air?
It doesn't matter, does it? We would
Yeah,
be
it
drowning.
does matter because the water, the water is going to be where the air was, so that means the air had to go somewhere. Where'd it go?
It doesn't matter where it goes.
Yeah,
It's not
it
going to the
does. It
vacuum,
has to
is
go
it?
somewhere.
It's 100% matters.
No, but it's your argument. It's your argument. You have to make an argument that's
I don't
based
need
on
to
the
make an
facts that you're
argument.
giving me.
It's your argument. You're the one who said that.
Flooding.
Well, okay.
Flooding is the antecedent to gas pressure.
No.
Flooding.
Flooding is the antecedent to
Yeah.
gas pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we didn't have a container, then we'd be drowning in a flood from the waters above.
So then we could say suffocation is the natural antecedent in the other respect.
Well, you need to work it out for yourselves. I mean,
you need to
seem
get
a bit of a
together
mess
with
to
Brenda
me,
and
but
maybe have some
if
drinks
it's
and talk about
biblical
this shit.
flat Earth cosmology, then you need to
logic.
kind of pull it together and get a good argument that's based on
Good
what
argument
you're saying
against
is true.
what? You've not brought anything to argue.
No,
You've
for
not
yourselves.
brought anything to argue.
For yourselves, But
You just said
you're
one of the
based on the
most
Bible,
retarded
so
things I've heard in the longest time.
really.
Yes.
What? The
The
circumference
antecedent
of
to
the
gas
equator is the
pressure
same on
is
both
drowning.
models.
The antecedent to gas pressure is drowning. That's what you just said. Do you realize that's why you need to get together, have some drinks with Brenda, maybe, and talk about logic. Jesus. You're kidding, right? You can't be a serious adult. Are you really a serious adult? Are you really an adult? Are you for real?
Can we talk about the science behind it first? Can you see the graph on this picture? Is it sharing flats? I don't know.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is how planes determine their altitude. This has it can vary slightly with temperature, but this is what we measure when everybody does elevation measurements with pressure. Why does this happen?
Okay. Now, do you have a graph that shows the temperature at those different elevations? Also, another graph that would show the compositional makeup of the gases at those different elevations. Wait.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yes. You can predict the elevation you're at by the pressure, irrespective of the temperature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So gas pressure does not equalize.
Is it cooler at the higher elevation than it is at the lower elevation?
A little bit, but it doesn't follow the NPR.
It is. It is. So yes, the answer is yes. Okay.
So the temperature.
And as we rise in elevation, are there any elements that are here closer to the ground that we start losing as we get up higher and higher?
What elements?
Maybe like water vapor, perhaps the dust.
Wait,
some of the more denser gases that aren't moving as fast as the other lighter gases. That's another thing.
Water vapor gas. Is water vapor gas?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said yesterday.
Yeah,
or 2 days
that which is that the humidity that's in the air right now is not in liquid form. Okay.
Oh, I thought you said water vapor was
the humidity that's in the air. So we get less humidity as we get higher in elevation.
You said yesterday or a couple days ago that water.
Are you going to let me finish? Are you going to let me finish my answer to your question? No, you're not. Why? Because it's making sense.
No, nothing you say makes sense, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
I understand
exactly. Pi r squared, that kind of.
I understand
pi r
exactly
squared, that
saying,
kind
so I have
of
no
sense.
idea what you saying. It makes no sense.
Well, I know.
So those are all factors. Those are all factors involved with that too. And why is it that we can't breathe? We have trouble breathing when we get up at higher elevations. Why is that?
We already talked about this. It's the pressure.
Because you've been smoking.
The pressure.
Why though? What about the pressure? What is it about the pressure?
We can't absorb oxygen in our lungs under low pressures. How hard is this?
Because we don't. There's not enough of a pressure differential between your collapsed lungs and your expanded lungs to make a difference to draw enough oxygen. Why you usually above 8,000, maybe 9,000 feet, you want to start using oxygen.
That's wrong.
You'll start getting a headache. I've climbed up in the Sierra Mountains, man, and I'll tell you what.
That has nothing to do with the inflation.
It also has to do with dispersal area. It also has to do with the area of production. Where, for instance, does the oxygen on Earth come from? Where does it come from? It's produced on the Earth down here. Down here is where it's produced. So you're going to have a higher concentration of it at the source of production. This goes the same with any of your carbon dioxide and your other noble gases that are produced and consumed and exchanged.
When did you measure it, Soph?
It's an irrelevant fucking question.
It's
an irrelevant.
Did somebody tell you that as well? Did somebody tell you that? Or did you measure it yourself?
Question designed to interrupt my explanation. And
yeah, but you said everybody has to have done it themselves for it to be valid.
So are you done? Hold on? Are you
done it?
Let me know when you're done. Let me know when you're done, and I'll finish what I was going to say.
It's important. So, quick one for you. You see, it's happening again. It's always the same.
Yeah.
Listen, now what's happening is the burden of proof is put on us again. We are the one who are explaining. instead of them providing evidence for the globe.
Well, I was explaining earlier.
That's what it is. So they're trying to push again, take over the narrative. So to push us that we would be under scrutiny and we would be providing evidence, when it's exactly on them to provide evidence for
said,
the.
unless I've done it myself, it
Shut
wasn't
the fuck
valid.
up. I'm speaking now.
So,
No,
it's on them exactly to provide evidence for the globe Earth.
So I'm just doing the same and asking Sol for his evidence.
Whenever you're done, whenever you're done,
I
I'll
muted
finish.
him. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, cheers.
So
look,
as you can
go.
see, all of these factors can result in a decrease in pressure and do result in a decrease in gas pressure. None of which could occur without physical containment of those gases, because in order to have a specific volume of any gas or mixture of gases, physical containment is required. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I don't have to prove that any more than I have to prove somebody can't turn into a werewolf. You know
what's also great? People can actually test them themselves. Take your barometer and go to a place where it's very cold and measure the air pressure. And then go to that same place when it's a hot summer day. And you'll see the air temperature, the air pressure changes slightly. Why? It's exactly the same location. The temperature causes the change in atmospheric pressure. You muted, Sov. You're muted.
They act like this pressure gradient is a static layer or something, layers of a static thing that stays like that all the time. It doesn't, man. It's all the time mixing and changing and shit. And it's possible for higher elevations to get a higher pressure than it is at a lower elevation. And it's all due to the dynamics of this whole system. The heating, the cooling, there's a number of factors that, while they call it respiration within the troposphere, and that's the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen.
Troposphere.
Yeah, they have to call it that because globe people think that gas can have a shape. Anyway, they kind of monopolize the verbiage, so that's what we have to go with. But you know what I'm talking.
Well, I think this is the biggest argument in the arena.
Stop being a snippy little shit. Okay.
Yeah. Because you don't know what you're talking about.
I do know
and the
what I'm
Globers
talking
don't know
about.
what they're talking about.
Snippy little shit. I do.
Well, how did you know that, though?
How did I
You just
know
taken
that?
what somebody told you.
No.
And what you were given.
I observe it. We observe this all the time.
What do you observe?
In fact, that little terrarium, terrarium that I mentioned earlier is a great example and model of such a thing. Evaporation, condensation, the exchanges of gases between organisms, the thriving and reproduction of life that takes place in there. You've got the fungus that are consuming the oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide, and the plants that are breathing in the carbon dioxide.
You saw all that from the jar, did you?
There's a whole bunch of shit that's going on there. The same thing that's going on here on the Earth, just in a smaller scale, that's all.
Well, I mean, you need a container to measure the pressure, don't you?
You need a container to have it.
And when you've measured it, then what?
What do you mean, and then what?
And then you let it out. I mean, you just use a container to measure it. You need a container to measure it, and measure the pressure.
Can you have container in the container? They don't get it, man. They don't. Just basics. They are fucking.
A container in a container.
Yes, that's a very freaking simple question. Can you have it?
A container in a container.
It's possible to have it.
Yeah, you can have a container inside a container. You've got nothing, and the Globers have got nothing. This is the argument that you're left with. Now you've lost measurement of the flat Earth. It's all you got now. There's no questions.
We do not know the measurements of the flat Earth.
Yeah, we do.
As you don't know the measurements of the globe Earth, because you only rely on the things which have been provided for you. You never
yes, and that's the data we're using. Yeah, same as what Sov was saying. I was saying that it was the data that was provided for me by you and people like you and other people who have a different
Not by
set
me.
of
We are copying
values
the
for the
shit which is
data.
provided by NASA, which we don't believe anyway.
No, I was looking at the flat Earth measurements and verifying if they could be possibly true.
People make assumptions because
See,
they never
regardless of the
they've never measured that themselves.
regardless of
And what I found was
cartographical bullshit, it's the physical impossibilities that are imposed by the globe model that I find more interesting than anything else.
I found a geometric impossibility, though, haven't I?
No, not really.
I found a geometric
No, not
impossibility.
really, because none of us
Yeah, I've made an
none of us
impossibility
are
that between the relationship
cartographers, and
between
none
the
of us have actually
circumference and the
calculated
radius.
that. Okay, so the reality of it is that your model, your working model, doesn't work because of the physical.
You've already agreed,
Because of
Sov.
the physical.
You've already agreed on
I'm
the
still
values,
talking,
though.
you snippy little fuck. I don't
I'm
give
just
a
telling
shit
you,
what
you've
you're
already
telling
agreed
me.
on
The
the
less
values.
that you
Don't
tell me, the
bullshit.
better I am. Okay, so stop talking.
Yeah, okay. But you're
All right,
now
all
going
right.
to talk over
I'm
the
gonna
fact
go
that
ahead
you
and just
gave me
keep
the
talking
numbers
over you every
already.
time you try to say something until I'm finished.
Go on, Dad. Go on,
There you
Dad.
go. Know your place. Know your
Yeah,
place,
Dad.
kid.
Yeah, I know. That's how you grew up.
Know your place. Know your place, kid.
Six
You act like
210 the other day.
Hey, listen, you little shitworm. You act like a child. You're going to be treated like a child.
If you should go
You see?
skating on the
There
thin
you go.
ice of modern life,
Why'd you have to come on and be so
drag
obnoxious?
him behind you.
Dude, why'd you have to come on and be so obnoxious? Shut
Of a
the fuck
million
up. Why do you have to come on
tear-stained
and be so
eyes,
obnoxious, prick?
don't be surprised
Let's
when a
get rid of
crack
this
in the
knob,
ice
please.
appears under your feet. As
So
you
step
slip
out of your depth
depths
and out of
and
your
out of your
mind with your tears flowing out
mind.
behind you as you call out thin ice.
No, got the words wrong there, so I've just like
That's my version. That's
pi
my
r
version.
squared
You know
one.
why? Because I play music. Do you? You don't play any
Yeah.
music, do you? You little fucktard.
But you gave me the
You don't
numbers.
you play the radio. You play the radio.
You gave me the
You play the
numbers.
radio.
6,210 and the circumference of
Okay.
24,910.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't
And
care.
so I was looking at the
Address and reconcile the physical impossibilities incorporated by your non-working globe model.
It's not my globe. I was comparing the flat with the
I don't
globe.
give
I
a
haven't
fuck
got a
what you're
model.
doing. I don't give a shit about that. The topic of the show is gas pressure without containment.
But that's a
one of the
geometric
physical.
impossibility.
That's one of the physical. That's one of the physical impossibilities incorporated in what you postulate. So reconcile the physical impossibility of gas pressure
You don't have a flat Earth without this.
containment. Reconcile the physical
without this.
impossibility of gas pressure without containment, or kick rocks.
You don't have any of that if you don't have this.
Reconcile the physical impossibility of gas pressure without containment, or kick rocks.
If you don't have the geometric
reconcile the physical
Earth,
impossibility incorporated in your hypothesis, or kick rocks.
Pi r squared, you said.
Reconcile the physical impossibilities.
Reconcile
the physical impossibility, or kick rocks.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just working on an argument. That's all.
I just want to know. I just want to know, Aldebert, since you're not a glober and you're not a flat earther, why are you fighting so vehemently for something you don't believe in, like the globe?
I'm not fighting for the globe.
Exactly what you're fighting for. You're fighting for gas pressure containment.
In what way? In what way? No, I was just asking the question because it seemed to me that you have a different paradigm for what's outside the container, where other flat earthers say there's a vacuum, but you say there's water there. Okay, so I was just asking you that question, how it is for you. And I thought that you might have presented a different argument based on your paradigm.
What flat earther says there's a vacuum?
Oh, loads. I mean, loads. You've heard them, surely.
Give 2 names.
I've heard if there's a
You've
vacuum
never.
of space.
Do you know what? Listen, hang on. You know, I spoke to some people recently about this 1 degree in the 69 miles, and they're all denying they've ever said that too.
What has this got to do with?
Never heard
Can you
it.
give me a name?
You've never heard. You've never heard somebody
Don't
say
run.
there was a
Wait.
Don't
negative
run. Answer the
17
question, for
torque.
fuck's sake, once.
I'm not
You made a
talking to you.
claim.
Don't swear at me.
You made a claim about flat earthers
What?
saying there's a vacuum. Who are these?
Yeah, I've heard lots of flat earthers.
Who are they?
Nathan
He
Oakley,
doesn't claim
Nathan
that.
Oakley,
He
Dave
doesn't
White,
claim that. They've never claimed
QE,
that. They've
Adam
never claimed
Meakin,
that. They've never claimed
Bullshit.
it.
Never said that.
They've
Jedi,
never claimed that. They've
Miggy,
never claimed it.
Geo.
Again, you're lying.
What do
They
you
never
mean?
claimed
How
that.
do you know?
They always pose it.
They never
No,
claimed there's a
no, they
vacuum.
pose it.
No,
They didn't have a
They are
container.
attacking the globe claim.
This is the globe claim, is what they say.
Yes, I know. I know, but they say that's necessary. They
It's
have to have a
based
container
on the
because of
globe.
this.
Oh,
You
you
see-
say,
Okay, well,
oh,
do
there's
you have to have a
vacuum.
container to take air underwater?
Now, you have to have
You
have a
have to have a
container to keep the
container
water
to
out
take
there.
air
They're different.
underwater.
Hang on, hang on. What I'm saying is you have a different argument to these other guys.
They don't argue that.
Your argument
They
is
don't argue that. That's a straw
your
man.
argument. Hang on, your
Show
argument.
me
Shut
one
up,
of them
Sof. Your argument
claiming
is
that space exists and that there's a 10 to the negative 17 torr or whatever.
that's the
Go
reason.
ahead.
That's the reason they say they have
No,
it must
it's
have a
not the reason.
container
They
because
say
of
that
this
it
vacuum
For fuck's
outside.
sake.
any
You don't
volume.
even know what they claim, and you lie.
Did you? I'm going to say this once again for you, okay? Regardless of whether there's a vacuum,
Why must it be
listen,
contained?
regardless of whether there's a vacuum, water, chocolate pudding, I don't give a fuck what else, okay? In order to have a specific volume of gas, physical containment.
PJ's
Holy
rolling a fat
shit.
one.
No, it's just a roll up. It's just a roll up.
We're not. Are you
Yeah. Got a
listening?
twist
Are
on the
you
end.
even
Big
listening?
roll up.
Look at that, Sof. You
I
rolling
said,
like that, Sof?
Listen,
you
if I roll the fat
listening?
one, I'd use them. I'd use brown ones.
Do you roll a
I'd
fat
use
one like
brown
that, Sof?
ones, not bloody white ones.
Yeah. You had your mates over the other day
What?
smoking.
No,
So
not
anyway,
anyway.
but
Not
you
anyway.
have a
Not
different.
anyway.
You have a different
Not
argument.
anyway, you retarded
Yeah.
little ass. I was in the
Anyway.
middle of
Listen to
talking.
people.
I was in the middle of talking when you interrupted, and now you're trying to change the subject. So I will start again.
No, I'm not
because of your
changing the subject. I
ADHD.
just say you have a different argument.
Okay.
No, we don't.
So regardless of whether or not it's in chocolate pudding, water, or what have you, I don't care. In order to have a specific volume of gas or gases, physical containment is required. Now, whether you wish to put that gas underwater, in chocolate pudding, in a sewage bin, I don't care. It doesn't matter. You still have to have a physical container to have that specific volume of gas. This is why scuba divers use scuba tanks, because they can't carry an armload of air down underwater with them.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Contained.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the thing is,
Self-contained
Yeah, self-contained
underwater
underwater
breathing
breathing
apparatus.
apparatus. Yeah.
yeah, the thing you don't get, Alderbear, they are making the same argument we are. The claim is from the globe that the Earth is an open system without containment in a space vacuum. We and every other flat earther are going against that because it goes against natural law. We're not the ones making a claim about the vacuum. We're the ones going against the vacuum.
He's not even listening.
Yeah, because you've got water. So you've got
Water has
water
got
above. You
nothing to
need a
do with
container
the
because of
damn
the water,
argument.
though, don't
It's
you?
got to do with containment.
No, but you don't need a container because of gas
Did you
pressure,
just
do
hold
you?
on? Did
You
you,
need a
did you hear
container
what
to
I
keep
just
the
said?
water
Listen,
out.
you know, he doesn't understand.
Did you even hear what I just said to
Please
you,
kick
Elderbear?
him from here. He doesn't listen.
Did you even listen to what I just
but
said?
you're
It doesn't
listen.
fucking matter
I
whether it's
did.
water,
Yes.
whether it's
I
chocolate
did.
pudding, whatever it is. Okay, so it doesn't.
I
It's
did.
not germane to the argument. Do you understand?
I said you've got a container to keep the water out.
No, it's
That's why you have a container.
For fuck's sake, you're stupid.
But nothing to do with gas
You have two
pressure.
fucking brain cells.
Air in.
They're fucking fighting for the third place.
No, nothing to do with gas pressure, is it? It's to do with keeping the water
No,
out
it's
for
to
you
keep
guys.
the air in.
If you didn't have it, the
And
water
the
would
air
come
would
in,
go
wouldn't it?
out.
but it was made.
What happens when you puncture
was
the
made
scuba
to keep the
tank,
water out.
Elder Bear? What happens when you puncture the scuba
Well, that's the
tank?
reason.
What replaces the air in the tank?
Well, that's the reason you have a container to
replaces
keep the
the
water
air in
out.
the scuba tank if I puncture it? The air leaves.
Well, if it's in the air, then the breathable air is going to run out.
Well, where's it going to go, and what's going to replace it?
It's going to breathe. It's going to run out. You know it
right.
will.
And what's going
If
to
you
take
put
its
your head
place?
in a plastic bag, put your head in a
All right.
plastic
So
bag.
the air, you admit that underwater, that the contained gas will leave the tank if it's punctured, correct? Yes. Okay. And something has to take the place of that air.
We
And
are in a
what will take
container. You
that
say we're in a
place?
container.
What will take that place? Water. So yes, just like what you said, and I say it's there to keep the air in. You say it's there to keep the water out. How about we have a happy medium and agree that it's for both? How about that?
But we know in reality that a sealed container will only have a certain amount of breathable air in it.
No. Not well. How about the terrarium?
What do you
What
mean,
about the
no?
terrarium?
Sealed
How is there
container.
life inside that terrarium all these many years later?
There isn't life.
Yes,
There's
there
just some
is.
plants in there, but there isn't human life in there.
It doesn't matter. It's life. It's a
Of
smaller.
course it does.
You're not
You
going to
can't cut.
listen.
You
You're
can't.
not going to fit a human.
You can't
You're
say
not
one's
going
the
to
same
fit
as
a
the other.
human being inside of a little terrarium like that. No.
Who would agree?
You know what? You know what is a suitable
You just have a different
terrarium
argument. That's all.
for
You just have a
humans?
different
A
argument. Your
suitable
argument is based
terrarium
on we
for
need a
humans.
container to
A
keep the
suitable
water out.
terrarium for humans is the one that you're in right now.
No,
but you know what's interesting based on that, if you think about it, you get people that have bomb shelters, and that's like the terrarium almost. It recycles.
A bomb shelter is like a terrarium.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me put it this way. We've had people walking around for a long time. All of us are breathing air. How come we haven't used up all the oxygen?
Well, there you go.
Well, why
How?
haven't we used up all the oxygen? Could it be that
Well, should have done. If it was a sealed
process,
container, we should have done by
I
now.
can tell you
surely.
why. It's real simple. It's because we have this remarkable dynamic system that works on what's called respiration. That's down here at the lower levels, and that consists of the exchange of carbon dioxide, which we happen to expel when we breathe, and the production of oxygen. So we breathe out this carbon dioxide. Plants, mostly algae, think about that. The largest producer of plant-based oxygen on Earth is algae. And it converts that carbon dioxide into oxygen. So there's a constant exchange of these gases from one form to another all the time.
Yeah, don't you find that odd?
Now, Jesus,
You see?
we'll never live that very long.
Don't you
We're
find
never
that?
going to live very long, are we?
Don't you find that odd? God knew what He was doing when He made us and the system we live in.
It's
Quite
pretty
interesting.
simple, man. It's pretty
Yeah.
freaking simple. You guys try to act like when we say it's a contained system, it's like you're comparing it to a fucking
It's
spray
just me.
paint
It's no
can
you
or some
guys.
shit, you know? And it's like, wait a minute. You're not taking into account all of the dynamics that work perfectly hand in hand in harmony with one another.
Yeah,
all the
I was
time.
just trying to push you to an argument, to make an argument. I think that there's a basis of a good good foundation.
What you need to do
have an
is you need
argument.
to work up your own argument, something logical to
I am. That's
support,
what I said, but you didn't want me to talk
something
about it.
to support the argument that's been
let him
presented
state
against
his argument.
Here we go.
Okay.
The Eden Project.
So, what are you believing in?
The
State your
Eden
case.
Project. That's not a sealed thing.
What does it look like to you?
I know what the Eden Project is, but it's not. It's not a sealed system. It's not a sealed system. Don't be silly.
It's quite beautiful.
Have you been there? Has anybody here been there?
No, not yet.
You know what you're looking at?
Is that Mars? Is that on Mars?
Yeah, it must be.
It's not a sealed system.
Must be on Mars.
It's not a sealed system. I don't care what it
Incorporating
says. It's
the
not a sealed system. You can,
see that
yeah,
that
nice.
Buckminster
Geodesic,
Fuller design of the geodesic
geodesic
dome.
domes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really a neat thing. They started putting those up on
Yeah,
playgrounds
but it's
all
not
over
sealed.
the place. No, it doesn't need to be. Now, if that were on,
No,
now
but
wait a
this one
second.
is.
I'll show you something.
The one
Wait a
we're in, you said is. You said it has to
second.
be.
Hold on a second.
You said ours has to be sealed. A container, sealed container for the gas pressure. But those aren't. That's not the same.
Hold
That's
on.
quite cool.
Just a
I
second.
think that's quite cool though.
I'm trying to find these things because they've got these terrariums that are like little platforms underwater with a
Oh
glass,
yes, I know what
As
you're
I
talking
said,
about.
was,
Yes,
dome on them, with a glass dome on them, and they're
with
growing
plants.
food and shit under there, and there's
I
tomatoes.
actually saw a video or something, like a YouTuber who actually tried to make a submarine with a whole bunch of plants and stuff to see if just the plants alone can sustain him with oxygen for a while. That was quite interesting.
And we don't really breathe a lot of oxygen. We really don't. The majority of the gas that you breathe in is nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
The answer to your question is yes. The Eden project utilizes a sealed system for its geothermal energy project. So you assumed, but you didn't check. The best way is not to assume.
For its what?
To check.
For its what?
Theogenic. Eden project. Okay.
Yeah, go on. Google. Go on. Google the size of the circumference of the Earth.
Yeah,
That'd
you
be a
just
good one.
said something
See
without
if it
even
gives you an
Googling.
answer, and see if you believe in that.
Well, that's quite beautiful.
Just Google what is the circumference of the Earth at the equator.
Provide you NASA.
Oh, look, there's a globe. Look at there. There's a ball. There's the ball. Woohoo! Look there, another
We don't
one.
care about the globe. We care about the
You were saying there was
domes
just
that
one
they
there on
have
the
there.
picture.
Eden
There
project.
is globe. Globe is everywhere.
Go on.
Of course there is.
Just check
Why
to see
you
what the
fucking show
circumference
flat
of the
Earth?
Earth is at the
Are you
equator.
fucking serious?
Isn't it your
There's a
nap?
terrarium. There's a steel terrarium for you.
What do you mean? You don't even know what that is.
Looks like a steel terrarium to me.
Oh yeah. Well, what
Oh,
looks
nice.
like AI
Don't-
is AI.
That's AI. You sure?
Are you sure it's not? Are you
Yes.
sure it's not?
Yes.
Are you sure it's not?
Yes.
Oh, well done. Brilliant. I see. Did they hang all those little, Muslim things in the background, that Arabic script?
Do you know at the
You
moment
think that's
how
there as
soon
well?
Fucking
nuclear-
Dubai, maybe.
Oh, wait.
Look at this.
Dubai. We're gonna have to end you anyway.
So what? You expect they fucking put over the Christian symbols? You
Stop
serious?
swearing. There's Christians in
There
the
we
house.
go. You
Stop
found
swearing.
There we go, Solve. Do they pump oxygen into there, or do the oxygen come from the plants alone?
It comes from the plants. They go underneath. It's like a little hole right here in the middle where that diver's at, and they can go up there and they can pick the vegetables, and then they swim back up to the top. They've got different patches of different stuff growing in each one of these little bubbles under there.
But you know what's
And it's
interesting? They have to
self-contained.
take a scuba diving equipment to get there.
Did you find the circumference of the Earth when you were Googling? Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that got to do with what we're talking about now?
Nothing. He's like a child. I told you. He's got the mentality of a freaking child.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about the things
No,
that you
weren't
believe in,
thinking
Sol.
at all. You weren't thinking
You
at
know,
all. You're just
But
trying
you
to be a
just,
little
you've
shit
done nothing
troll.
yourself.
No, you've
but
never.
You just take
You're
all
not
this
trying to
information.
think. You don't think at all.
And you
You
think
don't
know
think
something.
at all.
And then you
just
try and
wanna
educate
say
people
stuff
with
and
your
act
bullshit.
like a little kid. You just say stuff and act like
All
a
right,
little
Dad.
kid, all the
Yes, Dad.
while masquerading as an adult with
Sorry,
the
Dad.
mentality of a 13-year-old. You see,
Right, Dad.
I think it's too much.
You don't think. You have to be told shit. You don't know how to think.
I was told you what I was thinking about, but you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's because you weren't thinking about anything. It was
I was
something
thinking about
someone
the
told
difference
you.
between the radius and the circumference and
Well,
how
see,
they
that's
work.
why you're not being able to grasp the topic that we're talking about today. That's why you're not able to do that, because see, your mind is off elsewhere, just like a kid daydreaming in class, right? That's because your mind is off somewhere else and not paying attention to what we're talking about. Your mind can't stay on a single topic for any longer than maybe the attention span of a goldfish.
Well, if you got an argument together to support this
There we
stuff you're
go.
talking about, I
Look,
might have something to
there we
listen
go.
to.
Yep.
What do you mean? There you go.
That's dry inside where they're at right there. These are plants, surface plants growing inside of an underwater terrarium, self-contained. There it is.
And nobody in there There's nobody in there smoking, is there?
That's very astute of you to
Always
notice
have to
that.
be
It would be
bullshit,
kind
you
of
know?
hard.
Yeah.
It would be
Like-
kind of hard to keep a lit
Yeah.
cigarette in a scuba suit. Yes, you are correct.
Flat.
I think if you,
not much
I
gets
think if
past
you,
you
I think
now,
if you,
does it?
Yeah, like you said, you cannot
I think if you look at all the experiments where they
longer
tried
than
to
5
make
seconds, you know?
make these self-contained environments for people to live in, they all
Yeah.
failed.
Yeah. You think that might have something to do with maybe scale? You think that it might have something to do with the fact that the amount of oxygen and gases that a human produces in proximity to a small area of plants is like viable for very long? No, I don't think so. This is why the terrarium that we actually live in is suited for us.
Well, you say that, but you've got no evidence.
Well, of
for
course
that.
it is. Are you not living and breathing right now?
Are you fucking dead?
Yeah, but that doesn't support your container.
Well, why doesn't it? How else are you going to have gas pressure?
Well, equally, we'd run out of air in the container, couldn't we?
Why? Why would we run out of air?
Because
Where
you
would it
can't
go?
breathe.
Because
Okay.
sealed
Where
containers,
would it
sealed
go?
containers,
Where would it go? Where would the air in a container
that
go?
quality about them.
Look
Where
at
would
this
it
guy.
go?
He's inside that dome without his air mask on. These domes were created in 2013. It is now 2025. Why is there still oxygen to breathe and for the plants to survive?
I see you got Godzilla in the chat. He was giving
And he
Luca a
ignores
really
everything I
bad
just
time the
said.
other day, going on
He
about
can't
people
stay.
with Down
Ignored everything
syndrome.
I just said.
And you allow that stuff in the chat.
Did you hear anything
Is
that
that
he
because he
just
pays
said?
And
money?
he just ignored everything I just said.
What's
Okay.
your point
Yeah.
about he said something? What about
Okay.
Down syndrome? So what did he say?
Oh, you should have looked back at it. It was pretty bad.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He said that
No, he's just
Luca makes
trying, guys.
like the Down
All
syndrome
is trying to do
community.
is obfuscate from the fact I just asked him a
Yeah,
very simple
exactly.
question.
Nobody takes
Aldebaran, I'm
I
going to
wasn't
ask you
really
again. I'm going to
interested
ask
in
you
it,
again.
really.
Is he inside this
I just
biosphere,
saw
which is contained,
Godzilla calling me out in the chat.
underneath the ocean floor since 2013, and the guy is able to breathe inside there, and the plants are able to grow inside there?
Yeah, there's an air bubble in there. How do they keep the air bubble
It
there?
replenishes
Contained,
itself.
and it
You fucking answer
recycles
the question.
everything.
Why you answer question the question? Literally has fucking 2 brain cells, and the both of them fucking fighting for the 3rd place. Literally.
Stop swearing, Jesus Christ,
Oi,
man! Just stop
You just
swearing.
sweared.
You just blasphemed.
Exactly.
Blasphemed not to swear while you
Did I
blaspheme.
really? I'm
I
not.
don't
I'm
care.
not.
I don't care
Into the
about coming
Bible,
out
so
with
it doesn't
Please
matter.
not say it like that in front of me.
Man, I swear to God, dude, you are like, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt when I quoted 13. I really was. You're worse. You're worse. I swear, I've never seen anything like it.
Look, now they've even making small biospheres to place in aquariums,
Yep.
in fish tanks. That's interesting. That's some nice stuff. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna have to end the stream, though.
You know, I knew a
Because,
lady that she grew marijuana using hydroponics, and the water that she got was from a koi pond that she had, and it was completely self-sustaining. She did not have to add any nutrients or feed those fish because the what was produced from the growing of the plant was filtering through to the fish, and they were eating, and what they were wasting was going towards nutrients of the plants. It was incredible. It was incredible.
Just for the chat, I don't have a gas pressure argument, you know. I think it's the most nutter question, you know, that you guys go
what
over.
nutter question?
It's just two people banging their heads against each other because you don't
There's no
know.
nutter question
And the
here. It's
Globers
just
don't
simply we are
know.
presenting.
So there, you know, it's like gravity. It's like the gravity one. That's another one. That's total
There
waste
is
of time.
no in nature
because
example that you
Total
have
waste of
a
time.
air
It's
pressure
all you've
without
got. I said
container.
after the
That doesn't
measurements,
exist.
that's all you've got
All
left.
I'm hearing from Alder is, no, you're taking my model away from me, so let me cry.
Well, I don't have a model.
No, you're
I
a
don't have. I
Glober.
was investigating
There's
your
no doubt
model.
about that. You're a Glober.
No, I'm not
No,
a
Definitely
Glober.
are.
I was
definitely. You're definitely
investigating
a
the.
Glober.
I was
But I'd
investigating
also be
both
embarrassed
the
to be
models
I'd
and
also
comparing
be
them.
embarrassed to call myself a Glober today.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
you would, but you know, I'm not embarrassed.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just
you aren't embarrassed.
comparing
You
the
are a Glober.
models,
Okay.
you know, on the given data, and I've collected your
My data? What
collected
data?
some data from the globe, the flat Earth measurements.
No, those are
We
actual
should never
measurements
provide
from
those.
people measuring
Actual
based on
measurements,
Polaris
yes.
to the equator. That's
Yeah.
not my measurements.
Yeah, 6,210 miles with a circumference of 24,901.
Still, again, it's got nothing to do with gas pressure without containment.
Well,
Well done,
yes,
well done,
but you know,
Globetard.
that's
Well
the
done,
interesting
Globetard.
thing.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna close it
How
off
do you
here.
get
Guys, have any
how do you
closing
get that
statements?
circumference with
You guys
that
have any
give?
closing statements?
That was crippling.
Yeah, well,
That was a good statement.
That's it. That's all I can say. The
The
good
fact
stream.
is, this is the issue I have with the Beftards. They claim they're not globers, but all they ever do is fight for the globe, the
Yeah, I
same
know.
globe they claim they are not fighting for.
I don't understand why you'd have to fight for it. It's supposed to be so evident.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the Earth is a globe. No, everyone was told the Earth is a globe. Let's get this right. Nobody has a first-hand observation of a globe Earth at all.
Nope.
It's just
In fact,
bullshit
you have
you've been
against the
told.
globe Earth. Anyway, you guys have any closing statements?
I just did mine.
A show coming up, Sov or PJ?
Yeah, I'll do one tonight.
2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
Awesome.
GMT.
Yeah, I'll be
Great
mine
having you.
tonight.
Sorry, PJ, we had to put you through this on your birthday.
Then of course at 8 p.m. GMT as well, because it's your night off.
Sorry, we had to put you through this on your birthday, PJ.
It's all right, don't worry. Well, technically, it's not my birthday till 11:57. I've got 3 minutes of a birthday, really. That's so inconsiderate for my mum and dad to conceive me at a certain time to be born at that time. That's terrible.
PJ, how old are you, young man?
49. I'm 50 next
Good
year.
age. Yeah, grand.
Getting there. Madness.
49.
So in a half year, you will be half century to a century.
Yep. I remember when I turned 25 saying, oh shit, I'm a quarter a century old. And now I'm half a century old. And I was just saying earlier, I'm half a century old next year, 50 years old next year, but I've lived in 7 decades and 2 centuries.
Crazy. Yeah, I just want to say the votes, I'm ending it now on 122 votes. Gas pressure requires containment. 61% say yes. Where is it now? Where's my votes? I'm going to wait for it to update. Sorry. All the votes, comments got to come in first. There we go. Okay. Yes, 60%. No, 36%, and not sure 3% of the 124 votes.
All right. And those who said no, they cannot provide even one simple evidence to support their claims.
No.
They cannot.
Exactly.
Doesn't exist.
Exactly. But it was a good show. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. Remember, I'm off tomorrow night. I would anyway be off because it's my daughter's birthday. So make sure to catch PJ live tomorrow. And then I'll see you guys all on Wednesday. Wait, got a super chat. My catch for £2. Thank you very much for your super chat. He said the dumb shown here is laughable. We live on a flat earth. Yes. Notice how I didn't read your globe there? Yeah. But thank you for the super chat, Mike. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, we don't live on a globe because it literally violates all laws of gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
and I want to correct something. I did say something bone here. I was going with the area of the circle, and not just doing the diameter times pi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but in either way, it doesn't matter. My point was this: I have never calculated this myself.
Nope.
No, I don't think anybody here has ever calculated the distance to the equator themselves. And that being said, means that we have to rely on what numbers are given to us by those that say that they have. Right. Okay. Now, if there's inconsistencies in those numbers, that's not my fucking problem. The point of the matter is the equatorial circle, whether it's around a ball or on a flat earth, is the same size.
Exactly.
Okay? Because it's just a denotation. It's not a real line. It's not really there. It's just the midway point of the sun's travels between the two tropics. That's all.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to cause water to stick to an object and assume its shape. It's not going to allow gas pressure without containment. That's not going to ever happen. Every example that is tried to use to dispel the gas pressure without containment argument uses a freaking container. You want to show me that? Get me a pile of oxygen or some shit and set it on the table.
Yeah.
Okay? Put a little barometer, stick the little node down into it, and hey, look, the pressure right here is a lot greater in this because I scooped it up and pushed it together. You know, I mean, wow. They act like they're dealing with clay. It's not. It's gas. It's not one big fucking gob of something. It's a whole bunch of little somethings coming together and being in volume. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like saying you could have a basket of water. Go get you an Easter basket full of water. Well, yeah, a woven basket's going to hold water real good for you, isn't it? Come on, it's going to run through the cracks. Why? I picked up a big gob of water. Why is it turning into smaller gobs of water and falling out the holes? What's going on?
Shitty container.
Because it's not a solid mass. That's why.
Okay. Well, cheers, guys. Appreciate you all. And like I said, see you guys on Wednesday. Cheerio. Much blessings.
Another fucking icy